Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, Absolutely Non-League, the show dedicated to everything from the National League North, National League South, and this week, the FA Trophy. But of course, as always, we are in collaboration with NL Fulltime. And I actually got my intro right after all these weeks. I am shocked. But I'm so glad to be back this evening. And one person who I am so glad to have here with me, he's absolutely smashed it out of the park since I've been away. Ben, first and foremost, thank you so much for being a fantastic host while I have been away. Honestly, it's not easy and you've absolutely smashed it. So thank you. And second of all, how are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, it isn't as easy as it looks, by the way, everyone. So just appreciate what Shah does every week. And to be fair, Shah, considering that you've had over a month out, like absolutely smashed that intro. So we've been back on the other side, but no, quite happy to let you get on with your hosting duties and that, because you're the go-to person for it, mate, not me.
Who's to say that I'm not going to throw you under the bus and be like, go on, Ben, you host now, I'll just have my brew.
I'm used to having Sam in the background now, just watching me and overseeing me. It's almost like he's assessing me sometimes. So if you did that, I sure got no problem with that now. It's natural, isn't it?
Exactly. I might just have a few minutes and disappear in a little bit and just be like, go on, Ben, to leave you with it.
Noted.
Morgan. I mean, I'm hoping this position, meaning our teams, is right at the end of the season and we finish above you. I didn't do it purposely, but how are you? How's everything? I feel like every time we get somewhere, Dale, York just have to then do something else, and it's really triggering me now.
Right, Pat, we've been live for less than 3 minutes and you've already got a little dig in about how Rochdale are going to win this league. 3 minutes.
With you for how long? I'm the host. I can do what I want now. Feral. Sam's very polite and well behaved. So is Ben. I'm feral. I'm northern.
But no, very good, thanks, Charles. I had a great weekend. Saturday was great. Sunday was chill. Nice to be back on the podcast, as always.
I love that. Just a shame I'm here.
Say nothing. The feral northerner.
And somebody who's got a very big smile on her face. I mean, we will get into it a little bit later. But some news broke, and I'm guessing we do have a very happy Jen. But Jen, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm doing all right. I've not had any sport to disappoint me this weekend, so I had a great weekend. Yeah, but yeah, I'm doing all right. Some crazy past few weeks, so I've took a bit of time away with some stuff going on behind the scenes. But yeah, it's good to finally feel like we've got our football club back now.
Love that. And of course, as I did mention, we are in collaboration with NL Fulltime. Christian, I did say to you off air, Boston have become my second favourite team after Saturday. They are pulling results out the park for Rochdale. So they're now my new adopted team. But how are you?
Yeah, fine. You're going to keep us for a month or so, I think, aren't you? So, we'll enjoy it while it's good. And then we'll worry about that Rochdale away game in early March when we get to it, I think. But good to be back. And I think by and large, it's a winning panel tonight, really, isn't it? Either good news or a good result.
Definitely. Oh, we didn't play, but I am gonna get the South End result in there. I'll get FOMO otherwise. And of course, Rob, a very tanned Rob as well. How are you? And Aldershot won too.
They did as well, and I did watch. I wasn't there. I didn't commentate on it, but I watched every ball kicked, and it was quite nice just to watch as a fan, not having to think about what I was doing and just take it all in. I've been really lucky. So I'm actually away halfway through a holiday in Egypt, but the Wi-Fi here is outstanding. So obviously I can see and hear you guys clear tonight. And on Saturday, I had two devices up watching two different games. Obviously one of them Aldershot and one from another division. So yeah, really good to join you guys, and great to see you back, Shah, in the chair, in the hot seat.
Thank you. And of course, not just us. We have a lot of people in the chat who I have missed. We have Graham. Good evening, everyone. Ever increasing social media star here. Yeah. I get around on the social media front, don't I? I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. Lucas, but I'll read everyone. 0-0 Police is on patrol tonight. Hand over your 0-0s right now. I'm pretty sure as I were doing the graphics, there is a 0-0 in there somewhere. I just can't remember where. Thank you as well for reposting. We have as well, Danny. Evening, everyone. We have Spenny Fan Chris too. He has put good afternoon from Charlotte, North Carolina, and for the last week in the USA before flying back to the UK. Oh, it's been a while, Chris, hasn't it? It's been a while since you've been in the UK. We've got hi Shah. So good to see you back. You've been missed. Oh, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Steve has put evening, everyone. I mean, a very, 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 very good win. By the way, we will talk about that later. Dan has put, great to see you back, Shah. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing really, really well, thank you. Really well. We've got as well, Danny, surprised Sam hasn't stayed with the look man you have had whilst being on here. I know. He might need to make an appearance, to be fair. He deserves a well good rest on a Monday night, Sam. He does a lot of work. We've got Sean as well. Evening all. Hope you're doing well. Love to see you back, Shah, you superstar. I don't know about that, but thank you so much, Sean. Great to see you back, Shah. Ben, you've been a superb standing host, and really great to see Jen back too. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words, by the way. Do appreciate it. Lovely kind words for Ben as well.
Cheers, Chris.
Yes, we will get onto this a little bit later as well, about the return of Jim Bentley. Evening, everyone. Oi. I can remove. StreamYard may have changed, but I know where the remove button is. That's not changed. I'm only joking. But no, we're not all boring wood. Not me, anyway. I can kick you out as well, Morgan. Like, oh no, Morgan's stream's just gone off. I don't know what's happened to him. But of course, we do have to start somewhere, and we are going to start with the National League. And of course, it's messed up. Me and Sam arranged all this last night. And of course, right on cue, it had to mess up. Brilliant.
Super big close up of Shah there. That was just because Rochdale weren't playing, isn't it? That's it. We just put a big picture of Shah anyway.
My big moon head. But National League. So who wants to go first? Christian, Rob, I'll let you decide between yourselves.
Oh, Christian can go.
Yes, I was hoping for that just so I could listen to it.
Yeah. Well, I think we maybe were the story. I think if anyone was kind of scrolling through results services as well, any game with 2 red cards in it's always going to catch the eye. And obviously that's what we had at Boreham Wood on Saturday. First of all, Boston made 2 really good signings on Friday night. So Jake Rooney came in from Derby, a centre-half who, by all accounts, should probably be playing League One football. He's been on loan at Barnsley. So having already played for 2 AFL teams, I believe the rule is he can't register for another this season. So that meant it was either going to be Premier League or National League for him. Obviously, it was National League he was looking at. And he's come to Boston, a contact via Paul Hurst. So a bit of positive news early on for Paul in terms of his recruitment process. And then Tom Curzons has come in on an undisclosed fee from Harrogate. We assume till the end of next season. Both of them started. Curzons made it a strike partnership with Linnell John Lewis, which was a real rarity for Boston this season. And Rooney looked really assured at centre-half. And it was all going quite well until Abdul Malik scored one from the edge of the box at the end of the first half, in first half stoppage time. Boston thought they'd kind of got to halfway where they wanted Boreham Wood. And the game turned 6 minutes into the second. It was Kenna Bow, the Norwich loanee, who we've actually just extended till the end of the season. So a third good bit of transfer news in the last week or so for United. he wriggled through, and Femi Ilasamni pulled his shirt back. The referee gave the penalty. I think everyone was sort of celebrating that, and then we realised, it's going to be a red card as well, which is what it was. So Boston scored the penalty, had 20 minutes of pressure, 10 against 11. Couldn't find that killer second goal, and then Regan Booty decided to abuse the referee. I've heard the quote. I'm not going to repeat it here because I'm interested in staying for the next 2 hours, but quite understandably, the referee sent him off. And within 2 minutes, Boston scored. That was 2-1.
Yeah, he's not going to say. The first word was
it's the second one, I think, was the opposite issue.
Useless, and then it began with the third letter of the alphabet, and then that's all you need to say.
Morgan, you say it, then I've got an excuse to remove you.
I have to keep my mouth closed anyway with my potty mouth most of the time.
Do apologise.
No, that was. But that was it. Bournemouth were never going to get back into it 9 against 11. I think in truth they rested up a little bit for the game tomorrow night. Accepted it just wasn't going to be their day. That was the story. First win for Paul Hurst. Boston heading in the right direction. And given the other results, boy, we needed it.
Definitely. I don't know as well. Did any of you see Luke Garrard's interview? Because I really, really liked it, because even though, and he admitted he was so emotional, he was so frustrated, he did call out the behaviour, but he still remained so classy, which I think, obviously, when you're so frustrated, as a manager, it must be so hard. But I just wanted to obviously point that out, because even though he was so emotional, he just remained still like the classy guy that he is, because I don't think I would have been able to do that.
No, you're right. And I've seen his pre-match for tomorrow night as well. And so composed. And just a reminder, really, from their point of view, Bournemouth, that they've actually got 2 points per game this season. And yes, they have lost their last 3 games. And there will be reasons why that happened. But I don't think you will. And I don't think anybody at Rochdale will underestimate them for tomorrow night, because they're wounded, but they got a lot of experience. They got a lot of ability in their side. And I'm really looking forward to that match tomorrow night. The great thing about being 2 hours ahead is I can eat my dinner. I can go out for the evening. I can come back and I can watch the football about 10:30 here. So, that's good. Yeah, it's a great win for you, Christian, on a day that it was so important to win. Just ridiculous, wasn't it? Yeah. Really, not the bottom few teams, mostly, that didn't play, but the ones just above them would have probably had those results tearing a hair out, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
well,
it's getting feisty now.
I would say on Boston, we actually at half time we looked and we dropped into the bottom 4 for the first time since we lost to Bournemouth, funnily enough, in September. So I don't think that got through to the players, but amongst the fans, that was obviously a concern. Thankfully, we got the result. But I think just a reminder that Boston are only 1 result away. It's felt like we've been that little bit of a step up from last season, which clearly we are, but just need to be wary. And I mentioned to you, Shah, before we started, but bear in mind, Boston have just played Bournemouth away. Our next away games are Forest Green, Scunthorpe, Rochdale and Carlisle. So the fact that we've been able to go away and claim a scalp now hopefully gives a little bit of confidence. Equally, the opportunities are there at home, but the home form's been so poor that if it doesn't just pick up, we're going to need something from those games. So good to kind of get an early blow-in on that front, because it's a bit of a grim run. And Morgan will tell you we took a point from York, the only one of those top 6 we have played on the road until this weekend. And maybe this might be the way we get out of things.
Christian, I don't want to poo-poo that massive result, but just a quick question that's really intrigued me since Saturday. Obviously, Bournemouth went down to 10 quickly and then 9. 11 against 11. Were you guys turning that round? Were you getting back into it, do you think?
I think it's hard because the goal was so late in the first half and then the red card comes 6 minutes into the second to really extrapolate across the whole half. Boston came out on the front foot for definite, and we had a couple of opportunities already. But I think if it had been 11 against 11, having, say the referee doesn't send him off, but the penalty still happens, I think at 1-1, Boston settled for a point, whereas the emphasis was very much on pushing ahead at 10 against 11. So I think the attitude would have been a point would have been good. And if it would have been 1-1 with 5 minutes left, we'd have seen what might have happened. But we wouldn't have gone So John Lewis came off injured and Curzons was only ever going to play an hour, and we still put 2 forwards on in replacement, which I think shows that the management wanted to go and win that game. And it wouldn't have been the case at 11 against 11 for definite. Bournemouth took Abdul Malik off fairly quickly. They played a 5-3-1 with Matt Rush on his own. And it was, I don't want to say negative because I think that's too critical, but clearly it was very defensive minded. And they stuck with 4 at the back when they went down to 9 as well. Even at the 2-1, they weren't overextending to get that equaliser, which I thought was quite interesting.
Christian, another question. Do you think Graham Coffin would have done the same thing? Because obviously you said that Paul Hurst, he's made these two changes. Cousins goes off, Lenny goes off, and you put on 2 new strikers. Do you think Coughlin, when in charge, would have done the same thing? Or do you think this Paul Hurst, with the new manager bounce and everything, this new enthusiasm, do you think he would have acted in the same way?
I think possibly not. I think some of Graham's team selections, and I think back to a home game against Brackley at the end of December, where we played a 5-3-2, but the wing backs were full backs, and all 3 of the midfielders were defensive minded as well. I think he was quite conservative, and if that was his approach from the start at home to Brackley after getting that York result, I think we've got to say it probably would have been a kind of conserve what we've got attitude to the Bournemouth game as well. I think clearly what's been said by the chairman, if anyone's seen that, shows that things weren't happy behind the scenes. And I just don't think there was a confidence from the management team in the squad, which is obviously never good. So no, I think you're right, Morgan. I'm assuming that that's the answer you were expecting, that we probably would have held out for a point there instead of pushing on. And I would agree. And if anyone hasn't seen anything that the chairman put out, David Newton, I would urge you to listen to it because it is fairly extraordinary how much he was happy to discuss the reasons behind his decision to sack a manager, because we know, especially mid-season, not all chairmen are happy to speak so candidly. But obviously, Graham's been happy to put comments out and the club have responded.
I've not spoke to you as well since the appointment. You happy with Paul Hurst?
Yeah, absolutely delighted. I've actually got to know Paul in the short term because he's been one of the other summarisers on Radio Lincolnshire this season with being out of work. So I've got to know a little bit more kind of what his demeanour's like and what he's like around a game. But a top quality manager. In truth, when Graham left, I thought everyone was texting me going, well, Paul's been doing all these radio games. Surely that's the answer. And my response was always, I'm sure Boston will want Paul, but will Paul want the Boston job? I think the fact he's been out of work for a little while, he's obviously had a good look at it. So he wasn't put off by that, which I feared might be the case. I looked back at the games he'd covered and it had been a fair mix of what Boston have been about this season. And I'm delighted he's taken it on. He hasn't come in and upset the apple cart too much. We've made these 2 signings now, but he had a look at things for a couple of games. We had the National League Cup game as well, so that gave him a chance to look at the fringe. And now he's going to try and get some business done. And that contacts book's borne fruit already with Jake Rooney. So, yeah, really positive. I think if I'm going to stick my neck out on the line, I'm going to say I don't see a world in which Boston go down this season, which I think might be brave given the situation we're in. But I just think the momentum's good. And ultimately, we haven't been in that bottom 4 at the end of the game since September. I don't see how things are going to get any worse than they were under Graham. Truth be told, I don't know. That may look very, very foolish in a couple of months' time. I don't see it happening. I really don't. I think we'll be steady this year, and I think we can kick on next towards more of a mid-table, which is what we hope for this season. You know, be one of those Wokings and Eastleys and try and fight for 14th. That would do me just fine.
No, I agree with that. That was a question. I'm glad you answered that because I was actually going to ask you that question, and I think exactly the same from a Boston perspective. I do. Rob, do you want to talk Aldershot?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm just trying to break it down in my head the best way to cover it. Look, from a headline point of view, it's an insane result. Aldershot have had a bigger away win this season, but it was in unusual circumstances against away at a Solihull Moors side that were really poor on the night. But to go to a rejuvenated Hartlepool with, I think, 2 wins or 3 in the last 3, new ownership, new manager, new players coming in front of 5,000 people. You could put a good case together for being quite pessimistic about that game for Aldershot on Saturday. But they were outstanding, and Hartlepool were poor as well. It's a combination of them both. Just stepping back a little bit. Tommy Widdrington's moved on. John Coleman's come in, and we all know he came into those ridiculously difficult run of fixtures. But he's done his bit of tinkering. He's brought in his players, majority of them on loan. But we're back to roller coaster football, and I love it. And I can't believe my luck, because I used to sit on here, win, lose or draw, and say I'm so entertained. Do you know the last 5 games Aldershot have played? They've won 4-1 at home to Wealdstone, 4-1 away at Eastleigh, 3-0 at Hartlepool. And then they've managed to get stuffed 5-1 at home to Solihull Moors and 5-1 by West Ham in the National League Cup. So, honestly, I haven't even added that lot up. But, you know, the managers have changed. But the entertainment...
There's no middle, is there? There's no middle, calmness or anything. It's like all or nothing.
They looked really, really well prepared for the game. They were hungry for it, which is good. It's not always the case when you've had the last 2 games postponed. John Coleman was champing at the bit to get out there again after that win at Eastleigh, and he was really worried about losing momentum. But I don't know, sometimes you put the bits in the jigsaw and they just seem to fit. There's so many things. Now, we were without Josh Barrett on Saturday, who's been coincidental to us getting back into good form, to creating lots of goals. And unfortunately, he's got to have a second scan, I think. It's not looking good. He may be out for the rest of the season. But the Shots fans were allowed to put that to the back of their mind on Saturday with what they saw. Some of the key things that have happened, Will Nightingale has been fit again and come back into the centre of defence. And he's a League One or League Two player, a bit like you said about the Rooney guy, Christian. He's just such a natural leader. He's got charisma. He's good on the ball. He organises the young lads around him. Those young lads around him have played well. Theo Widdrington is almost a player reborn, without the weight on his shoulders of his father being the manager. You know, is that a factor in? He might say, no, not at all. I'm just having a good run. I've found a bit of fitness. That's coincided with the form, and I'm doing what I can do again. They got a young lad in on loan from Reading called Sean Patton. And a few times this season, Aldershot have brought players in that they thought were strikers, but they've generally been wingers. He's a striker. He's a fox in the box. Believe it or not, he played at the EBB already this year for Reading under-21s, came off the bench and scored a hat-trick. He's that kind of guy. So hopefully he can get cracking. Charlie Warren's also there on loan, and he got his 3rd goal, I think, now, or 4th, as me and Christian know. That one didn't count. But no, very, very good all around the pitch and from start to finish for Aldershot, who were largely, I'm sure Hartlepool fans who watched it would agree, much to their frustration, they dominated the game, really. They were in control of it throughout. And then the kind of negative side of it, really, and I don't want to say anything too disrespectful, just gobsmacked how poor Hartlepool were. I didn't see it coming. I don't really understand it. I mean, they brought Tyrese Sinclair in, Morgan, from York, and I thought he'd be good. Gav Holohan back in, coming back to a club he knows well. And all the ingredients seemed to be there for Hartlepool, but something was missing. And even having watched the entire 100 and something minutes, I think it was in the end, I'm still a bit scratching my head. And I don't know if we've got any poolies watching the show who want to give their thoughts. I don't want to hurt any team when they're down, because I don't think anybody there saw that result coming on Saturday. But for Aldershot, is 4 wins and a draw in the last 6. And I have to admit, though, a bit like Christian was saying, I've gone from, that's brilliant. That's a much better form. We've gone from 7 points adrift to getting out of the relegation zone. But even after all that, we're 1 point and 1 place outside, or 2 places outside the relegation zone. And listen, it's all relative, isn't it? Me and Christian can't complain about that, because Jen would swap with either of us right now just for a couple of extra places and half a dozen extra points. So I get it. We're in a right scrap, guys, aren't we, down the bottom there? And there is a little bit of a gap. We'll look at the table in a bit. There's a little bit of a gap. There's 3 sides that have really got to close the gap. Yeah. And then there's a dogfight between about 8 clubs trying to avoid the 4th bottom.
I think, Rob, you mentioned that.
I love that comment so much. Sponsor them.
Is
Sponsor
that
them.
mine? I love that comment.
That's
Sorry,
so good.
Morgan.
I didn't even-
Is it Morgan or Christian who's starting to ask a question? All the
I think
beers.
some of the lack of beard from Morgan, yeah.
it goes me, Ben, Christian, Rob. Like it's so obvious.
I've had a trim as well this week, so
Yeah, I shaved the other day.
We all aspire to be Rob Worrells in this world. I think
Yeah.
No, we really do.
that's the.
We all look up to Rob Worrell.
We've got
Honestly,
a long way to go, Jen. We've got a long
Not
way
like
to
mine.
go.
I was going to say, yeah, I think pulling Rob up on the sort of less of the sum of their parts comment, I think that can usually be put down to two things. It's either it's an unhappy camp, and I don't think Hartlepool is the case, and therefore you've got to look at the management and the coaching. I could think of another club or two that I think we'll come on to in decent detail where
we should stop the pod and just let the comments come out.
Yeah.
might have just lost me there.
Christian's been derailed.
We
You're
lost
back
you
now,
temporarily.
Christian. You're back.
I think we got the gist of your point that you were
Magic.
making.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think sometimes, yeah, and obviously Morecambe is the tail on with that. Very much true over a longer period.
You know, there's that saying, never fall in love with a lone player. I think there's another one, isn't there? Never fall too much in love with an interim manager. And I think somebody mentioned it on our pod at the weekend. It's almost like the curse of it, isn't it? They do so well in interim charge and they get the job and things change. And that might not be the case. It might have just been a one-off poor game for Hartlepool. And one thing for sure, for Nicky Featherstone, you learn a lot more about your team on days like that. So expect Hartlepool to bounce back whoever they're playing next.
Definitely. Before, obviously, I will come to you in a second, Joe, because we have mentioned Morecambe, but I will go to the comments. Hi, Flawless. Hope you're good. As always, if anybody isn't following Flawless on his channel, please do. Fantastic content. It's called Sarcasm City TV, and honestly, it's got everything, absolutely everything. And yes, he said big up the chat too. Thank you as well. Honestly, those comments really made me laugh. But Jen, before we talk about the rest of the results, there was some breaking news. I mean, not even non-league fans, the whole of the football pyramid, especially on Twitter, were like, finally this has happened, because everyone was so invested in, obviously, Ashveer Singh and him still being in charge, obviously, of Morecambe, because it was interview after interview, and I know, obviously, results weren't happening. So many football fans became so invested in him, and then finally the news did break. Was it Friday?
Friday,
I want
yeah.
to say Friday,
Friday.
yes. Before we get on to, obviously, interim manager and who it is, what were your thoughts on, obviously, Ashveer Singh departing? Because I know we did a stream, didn't we, myself, you and Ben, and you just finally said, I think it is time for him to go. And to be fair, you've backed him and you've backed him and you've backed him, haven't you? So what were your thoughts on Friday when, obviously, you did hear the news?
I had zero idea that this was coming. Like, zero. There was nothing said behind the scenes. There was nothing to say he was going. Considering we didn't have a game on Saturday, it could have been done earlier on in the week. Jim could have had more time to deal with the players before tomorrow's game, but it is what it is. And then on Friday, I was in work and I got a text off Liam saying, have you got 5 minutes? I need a phone call. And when you get that message, you're just like, right, what's happened? Something's happened at Morecambe. Something's gone on. And that's when we was told that Ash had been sacked, or not sacked, mutually departed, whatever that means. Don't know what the behinds is of that. But from a personal point of view, it needed to happen. Yeah. Personally, we was not getting the results. There was a lot of stuff that I won't go into that has happened behind the scenes, including Ash. It was very, very divided very divided behind the scenes, and I think that showed on the pitch as well. But personally, I think I don't hate him. I just don't think he is a manager, in my opinion. I think maybe as a first team coach or assistant manager, I don't think he is a manager of a football club. Fair enough, I give him a chance, but it never worked. Whatever he did, it never worked. And so many people have obviously seen the interviews, and it's hard when you see the interviews and he's just constantly repeating himself, like constantly the same thing. And it's just like, mate, come on. You just say the truth. Like, we have a great set of lads, hard-working lads in that changing room. And it was so difficult to see them on the pitch and just like not being together as a team. That was the hardest part. They were very divided. And honestly, I think it needed to happen on Friday. It needed to happen probably a couple of months before, but whatever changed with the Punjab Warriors, something changed in that week. Maybe it was losing a certain player that's gone somewhere else. We all know where he's gone. Maybe it was that. Maybe it was someone else that's been rumoured to come to us. Who knows? But yeah, I think it was time for him to go. And it's hard because I liked him. I thought he was all right. I'd give him a chance. But at the end of the day, we're 23rd in the league. There's 18 games left to play. It's like Jim said in his interview yesterday, it's 18 cup finals. That's it. That's what we've got to do now. We've got to focus on these 18 cup finals and see what happens.
I think it was always going to be a massive risk as well, getting someone like him in who doesn't essentially have that experience as obviously a first team coach, a first team manager, especially with the circumstances that Morecambe were in. We've seen obviously their struggles as well. And I think from that perspective, it was always a massive, massive risk. Ben, I will come to you on this one. Was you shocked about this, or was it literally like everyone else thought, where it was just like a ticking time bomb and it was about to obviously erupt and it was about to happen?
It was just delaying the inevitable, wasn't it? We knew this was coming. I think it's just a case of when were they going to make that call? And I think to make the call now, with still a good 2 or 3 months left of the season, it's the perfect time really for it to happen, because Jim Bentley's now got, at least a good 2 or 3 weeks to try and get his ideas instilled in the players about what he wants to do. It's not going to happen straight away. I mean, it might, like I say, it goes one way or the other, doesn't it? But then again, look, he's got the same group of players. He's just got to have an effect on them now, and maybe a breath of fresh air. And the fact it is like a Morecambe legend that's come back already, galvanizes, the supporters and everything, because they now feel like, right, okay, this is our Morecambe back now. So he's got a big task ahead of him. But look, they're 7 points off, the safety at the moment. There's still a good few amount of games, and I'm guessing that like a lot of the teams around them, they've got to play all each other. So they've got to make their home form count as well, because obviously they haven't managed to do that, this season. So it is that's the thing. It is a risk about who they're ever going to bring in. But I think, I listened to a little bit of his interview, and he does sound like the type of guy you want to run through brick walls for, and that's what he's got to get for his players at the end of the day. And it makes you as a supporter as well. I guess it makes them want to run through brick walls for him as well. But I'm interested to see how it goes.
Just before obviously we do come on to Jim Bentley, Rob, what were your thoughts on the sacking? Did you think it had to happen?
Yeah, I can understand why it took extra long time as well. I think they're all invested in it together. I think Jen's right to say there's no hatred. There should be no hatred. And I think it needs separating the genuine criticism for Ashvir Singh Johal and some of the silly stuff that was out there. And I thought our very own Dickie spoke with class on our pod this weekend about that very subject. But moving on from that, the thing that really set my alarm bells going, because I don't know how Ashvir managed or whatever. I heard some of those interviews and I heard the repetition. But I'm just trying to think who it was. Chris Millington, a week or two ago, he actually said in his pre-match that he felt, and this is quite arguable, I'm sure, and you girls would know best, but he said he felt that Morecambe's squad was almost as good as like Rochdale's, that they should be doing so much better. And I think as he said it, I think he realised what he was saying, because whichever way you look at it, he's inferring that the manager there wasn't good enough, and I don't think he set out to make that point, just to show how respectful he was of Morecambe, who they were about to play. So yeah, I think inevitably it had to happen. I'm just fascinated from the outside looking in that Bentley's come back, and it's interesting because I don't have that emotional connection. I don't know the guy. I've not met him. He's not been the manager of my club previously, which he has for you, Jen. And I know he was well liked and well loved and at Morecambe for a long time. So being less emotionally involved and more rationally looking at it, I look at his last 3 jobs as a manager and they haven't been very successful. But he did have his fair share of good times at Morecambe. And if he is coming in to manage a strong squad, which I'm not going to say I think is as strong as Rochdale's, but is probably stronger than where it is in the league, then maybe his influence coming in, hitting the ground running, knowing the club, might just be what you need right now.
What were your thoughts on it, Jen? I will get your thoughts first, and then I'm going to come to Christine and Morgan about on it as well. But were you happy, obviously, Jim Bentley coming back? Because I know Rob's obviously mentioned prior to obviously coming back to Morecambe, looking at him at Southport, at Rochdale, and a lot of Rochdale fans did come at me for this when I did post it on my Twitter yesterday. I felt with Jim Bentley at Rochdale, it wasn't just his fault, to be honest. I don't think straight away he was the right appointment. We had a lot of things going on off the pitch. We didn't have much money at the time, and it was basically not many people wanted that job at Rochdale at that time, and we went for Jim Bentley. I think he was an absolutely great guy, but I just don't think he was the right fit for us. And as much as I feel like if we probably would have sacked him that little bit sooner, I'm not going to say we would have stayed in the EFL, because I personally do not think we would, because we had so much going on behind the scenes. I think we would have had a little bit more of a fighting chance if we obviously sacked him sooner and brought McNulty as interim caretaker that, those few games earlier. But I'm not going to 100% blame it all on him, because we didn't have the finances. We obviously were in such a mess. And I honestly think it was on our chairman and our board at the time, because they should have made them changes quicker. They obviously, with Robbie Stockdale as well, they gave him the full pre-season. Then they brought Jim Bentley basically in straight away into the new season. So I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this off Rochdale fans, but I'm not essentially putting it all down to Jim Bentley. I think from a Morecambe perspective, it's a good thing in hindsight where it's somebody who knows Morecambe, he knows the fans, he has that connection to the fans as well. So no matter what happens, I'm not going to say he's going to get you relegated. I'm not going to say he's going to keep you up, because we do not know this right now. But I think he will stabilise, and I think it'll bring that connection back to the fans. And you have got safe hands in that aspect and somebody you can trust from that point of view. But yeah, I would love to know your opinion, obviously, being Morecambe and having that legend back, because it's similar to me with Jim McNulty, where you've got that club legend in there, and obviously Ben as well, very similar in that aspect too.
Yeah, when it was announced, it was one of them feelings where I generally sat there and was like, this is the guy that we've had for 10 plus years at our club. He's managed to keep us in the EFL countless times. He is a guy that you will run through a brick wall for. You will. And I just know today in training, he has gone ham at them players. And I just know they feel the same way as us fans. And personally, from my point of view, I've seen the struggle that some of that staff have gone through with Ash, and seen how hard it is to go into a game and lose constantly. It's just going to bring your spirits right down. But when Jim was announced, it was special, because obviously we've talked about him being out of a job. He's got sacked from previous jobs, etc. But as a Morecambe fan, Jim is Morecambe through and through. Like you said, he knows the fans. He knows the community. He knows everyone in and around it. There's staff still there that were there 10 plus years ago when he was there. and he's going around and introducing him to new people and stuff. But I think it's the right appointment. It's someone that knows the club, knows the fans, will get the fans back on side straight away. Like, there's been countless people buying tickets for Altrincham tomorrow because they want to get behind the boys. They want to get behind Jim. And I think that's what's important right now, is to get the fans back on side. We've got Altrincham tomorrow. We've got Truro at home on Saturday, which is huge. That is a huge game on Saturday. And I think he's someone that gets everything. And when you listen to his interview and the way he talks and the way he's like, these fans come and pay you money to play on that pitch, and you leave your whole energy out on that pitch for them fans. And listening to his interview, it's like you can sit there and you go, 20-minute interview with Jim Bentley. It was like a 6-7 minute interview with Ash. And I got more out of Jim in his yesterday's interview than I've got out of Ash since we had him. And as a fan of Morecambe, I couldn't be happier that we've got Jim back. Yes, it's still the end of the season, but maybe that's just what we need right now to see where we are next season and see what we can do from there. But for me, personally, I just think Jim is the right guy. I love him to bits. I will always love him. He is Morecambe. That's it. When we first moved to Morecambe 10 plus years ago now, the first game we went to, Jim Bentley managed. And then you go 10 years after, Liam announced him yesterday as a full-time worker for the club. Like, that's something that you don't think will ever happen. But for me, I think Jim's the right guy to bring in. Whether he keeps us up, it would be amazing if somehow we scraped and stayed in the National League this season. But whatever happens, I just know he's going to have the fans back on his side straight away. He is a legend in Morecambe. And I just know everyone that's going to see him, whether it's in the local supermarket or he's just at training or even on the pitch, you just know he's going to go around to every single fan and make sure that they know that he's going to try and help as much as possible. And I think that's the kind of manager we need right now, because as a fan, I felt so disconnected from my club. We talked about, obviously, in the summer when Liam wasn't getting paid for 3 months. We talk about that was the hardest time. But then I can also say the past couple of months have probably been just as hard as that was, because I felt so disconnected. I didn't feel like it was my club anymore. And I shouldn't feel like that from a club that was saved in the summer. But listening to Jim yesterday, I felt like that's it. My club's back. I know Jim. I love Jim. I've met him. He's the nicest guy. He will do anything for anyone. And it's weird listening to his interview as well, saying he didn't want to get back into management. This wasn't what he wanted to do, but it felt like the right time. And if that doesn't tell you what Morecambe means to him, then I don't know what else to say. But yeah, it's exciting to see him back. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If we somehow scrape a miracle Altrincham away win like we did for the first game of the season, that it seems like the perfect game to have, because the first game we had was Altrincham and we won. Now we're going to Altrincham away. What could happen? But yeah, we'll see what happens. But whatever happens to Jim, I'm just glad we've got someone that gets the club and understands the fans and the community, and that's the main focus right now.
Yeah. Just before we move on as well, obviously, Christian, Morgan, I'll come to you first, Christian. Do you think Jim Bentley, good appointment for now, or do you think Morecambe should have obviously gone elsewhere?
I don't mind the appointment. I think I can see some parallels with Boston last season. And listen, you're 5 points better off, Jen, and you've got a month longer to fix it. So it can be done. I think the positives to say are the fixtures are there for Morecambe as well. Boston, when they got out of trouble, they did it by just ticking off every single game against the teams above them. They beat them all the second time around they played them. That gave them that springboard. My concern is the fact it's probably come too late. Graham had 3 months looking at Boston. Things didn't really improve. And then those fixtures came and he got that chance. And I saw Morecambe close up the first week of December. And as an outsider coming in, it was quite obvious that things were only going to end in one way. And I really do think that decision could have been made after he lost 3-0 to a poor Boston side. I'm sure there are other results you would name in a similar vein as well. So I'd be cautiously optimistic for Morecambe. I wouldn't put my money on them staying up, but I can build the case. And it sounds as though other managers in the league, and certainly looking at the squad, a lot of people think they've got the ingredients there. My concern is Jim comes in and within 5 days, he's got the first of those hurdles to overcome. That's my thing. I think he's probably been left too little time. If he does it, great. But they've got more of a chance than this time last week, for certain.
Morgan, before we do talk about the Solihull York game, are you in agreement, or are you going to play devil's advocate and do you not think this is the right move?
No, when Christian was talking there, I was just thinking back and how I'm feeling a lot of similarities to when we stayed up a couple of years ago, where we had a new ownership in Glenn Henderson, who was hated, sacked a well-liked, very experienced manager in John Askey, like Punjab sacked Derek Adams, bringing someone inexperienced who doesn't know what they're doing in, what's the guy that we had? I can't remember his name, but he was useless, like Ashley Singh was. He's got David Webb, that's his name. He's like George's assistant manager or something now. He's failed upwards, but sacked. And then in came Mikey Morton, who was youth coach at Man City and stuff, but he was at Wembley in '93 when we got promoted as a fan. And now Morecambe have brought in someone that has done 400 to 500 games and understands that community. We got someone in that understands the community in a really tough relegation scrap. I'm seeing a lot of similarities. We stayed up with a 1-1 draw away at Notts County, but we had to beat Bromley, Chesterfield, Barnet to get there, drew against Notts County to stay up. Like, we had to get through some hurdles to do it. Beat Southend in the FA Trophy as well. We had some really bad results in that time, but you pull things out when you don't expect it. I think Morecambe are going to do it just because there's this massive revitalisation, and if history is anything to go off from my own experience, it worked for us. Why can it not work for Morecambe, a former Football League club that fallen out, could go into the National League North? There's just a lot of similarities. I've seen it work once. Why can't it work again?
And obviously now it's a very big contrast, isn't it? From those days to now, you are sitting at the top of the National League. Solihull Moors game taught to us a 2-0 win against a Solihull Moors team who, to be fair, they've been pulling out some very, very good results. Even when we played them, they were very, very tough to obviously overcome. It wasn't until that Pritchard shot, whatever it was.
So this is the first league away game I've done since April last year with travelling and other stuff. I did the Barnsley game in the FA Cup. I've not done an away day in a really long time, so I was really, really looking forward to it. On Friday night, I felt like a kid at Christmas. I went down to Birmingham and met one of my friends who's actually a Villa fan. So she was at the Europa League on Thursday night, and I dragged her down to the National League on Saturday.
Did she enjoy it though?
Oh, she loved it. She absolutely loved it.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm trying to convert her. But firstly, Solihull's ground, I think, has to be one of the worst in the league. I don't want to insult other teams too much and call them small teams. Like, you're there because you pitch performance, but the way they deal with away fans at Solihull, I don't know if anyone else has been, but it's really not very nice. They've got that massive away stand at the end, and they give you maybe a third of it, leave a third for segregation, and then they leave another third for home fans. And there was about 100 15-year-olds in there. It was like, you can't let us have an actual atmosphere, and then you put the rest of the York fans in this uncovered seating stand that really didn't look very good in the rain. So me and my friend, we managed to squeeze into that away end, but the police just didn't deal with it properly because they didn't want to give us the whole away end. And for safety concerns, we were standing there thinking, this is too tight. You've got an entire stand there. Had they given it, we could have sold 800 in that away end and it would have been great. But because they only get 1,000 home fans in, they weren't properly doing it in a safe manner. And we know what football can be like with football crowds. That obviously the Hillsborough one's the main one, but football and big crowds has always been an issue. And I think they should deal with that better. In terms of the game, I was worried when the lineups came out. We had no Josh Stones, who missed out completely with a slight hamstring niggle. I know there was rumours of him going to Barnsley, but
I was going to ask you about that.
Have you seen Matt Ugly today? Matt Ugly's just completely shut down the journalist on Twitter. He's hilarious. So there was no Callum Howe, Malachi Fagan Walcott's out long term, no Josh Stones. no Dan Batty was involved either. And I was looking at it, I was going from quite confident to very nervous. And we know how good that Solihull team is. We know what Chris Millington did at Halifax, and we know how he's turned around this Solihull team. When under the previous manager, they were really bad. They ended last season really badly. They've started this year really badly. They've got Joe Sabara back in. Jacob Wakeling's fantastic. Ben Warman's really good. Like, they've got a good structure, and Chris Millington knows what he's doing. So I was going into that game with a little bit of hesitation. They beat us earlier this season with a fantastic 1-0 counter-attack victory. And so I was going into that a little bit nervous, but it felt more comfortable. I don't really remember us being tested at halftime. I think it was 0-0 at halftime. Yeah, 0-0 at halftime. You're thinking we were the better team, but there was the last 10 minutes like, just get me to halftime. We started the first 20 minutes, we were fantastic and probably should have scored. Didn't, and then they just came back into it, and for the last 10 minutes, like, just get me to halftime. Get to halftime, and came out the second half, we were better, but Sobs changed it. Ben, your best mate, Ben Brooks, was absolutely fantastic. He just ran his socks off. We've got he's been back in for 3 games now. We've got 3 clean sheets in a row. Him and Jeff King are fantastic as wing backs, but they're also natural fullbacks. Ben, did you play back 4 last year?
Most of the time, yeah, we played back 4.
Yeah. So he's used to playing at left back, and Boreham Wood used Jeff King as a right back. They're players that can sit more defensively, whereas we've used Alex Newby, Tyree Sinclair, Joe Gray as wing backs who are very attacking and can create, but will leave you more vulnerable defensively. So Ben Brooks on that left-hand side was fantastic. We get the penalty, and from where I stood, I didn't think it was a penalty, but I don't know if anyone's seen it now. The Solihull player dives through the back of Greg Ollie, takes him out. I saw some Rochdale fans on Twitter, I don't know if you saw them, saying, you'll get all these penalties and it's really unfair. I think we've had 11 this year, but we're in the opposition box all the time. I don't know what you can do. Like, it's not our fault if a player gets fouled in the box. Like, a ref has to give it.
Don't worry, our fans get triggered very easily.
I know it's frustrating when your players get wiped out. It's like, why is it penalties? He's got no choice. Like,
we're jealous because we don't score them. The only one who scored one for us this season is Manny D. Everyone else has missed them.
Christian knows about that.
Manny D penalty.
No, he knows about missing penalties.
Yeah.
Give him your stat, Christian, on Boston penalties.
Oh, well, we had a couple. So we got promoted with a penalty in May 2024. The next time we were given one was the end of October last year. So we went 15 months without a pen. We then scored that one and then missed our next 2. So we had 1 penalty scored in 18 months. Paul Hurst's had 2 in 2 games. That's more than Graham Coughlin had in 57.
I love that.
Wow.
Progress.
Sorry, Morgan, but I knew that was a good stat. So
yeah, no, that's completely fair. And we're 1-0 up, and you're thinking, still, like, this Chris Millington team, they can get something from this. You know how football can be. And then again, it was Ben Brooks down the left hand side. He plays it across. Alex Newby takes 2 touches and smashes it into the bottom corner. You're thinking that's 79th minute, that's game over. But 3 clean sheets in a row with King now back in from Boreham Wood and Brooks in left wing back. Hiram Boateng was fantastic, and him and Alex Hunt, without Dan Batty, who I think is the best midfielder in the league, those two just did not stop running. I thought Ollie Pearce won't get the credit he deserves, but he did not stop running. Without Josh Stones, he ran his stocks off. And he's one of those players that you see how good he is at finishing, how good his movement is. Ollie Pearce is one of the most team-based players I think I've seen. He just does not stop running for this team. And when everyone looks at the goals at the end of the season, they say, what a brilliant player. But I think what goes undervalued is how hard Ollie Pearce works. And I thought that the entire team were excellent. And it's obviously now good that Josh Stones isn't leaving and what Matt Ugler's done and everything like this. I keep saying it, Shah. You're the title favourites until we've played the same amount of games and we're top. Why you got getting in hand? You are the title favourites. I know you don't. I know you want to be the underdogs. You are the title favourites until you prove otherwise.
No.
I think we've got a better chance in the playoffs this year with Banks and Jeff King and the amount of experience. But Shah, enjoy the title until you aren't top anymore. But you're top in my eyes.
No.
Can I be the referee here very quickly between you two? I think the National League did a poll. And I thought it was I got completely agreed with the outcome. It got kind of a third of the people saying Rochdale, a third of them saying York, and then a third of them coming up with reasons why somebody else might win it. I think maybe that latter third is a bit hopeful. I don't see both Rochdale and York screwing up from here on in. Others do have a chance, but it's much smaller.
If Rochdale are top after these next 5, they'll win the league.
Yep.
Shah will tell us the next 5. They look tasty. They're all at home, though, aren't they? The big ones.
Yeah, so we've obviously got Boreham Wood tomorrow. Then we've got Carlisle at home on Saturday, Forest Green on Wednesday, and then I cannot remember. I know we've got in that.
Yeah.
We've got Scunthorpe, we've got Woking, we've got Halifax, we've got Aldershot as well. So we've
those
got
4 home games.
What the games are.
This is why I'm not saying anything. This month, I think, will define where we are and if we are going to be involved in the conversations of winning the league. This month will make or break us, I think.
You keep pulling wins out though. Like Solihull, you score in the 95th minute. Truro is never an easy game, and you win 2-0 quite nicely there. And
late goal against Southend.
And then late goal against Southend. But no, Claire, bang on. If anyone's seen that photo of me, by the way, it was shared on the York City social. There's a photo of me at full time. I look fuming. I'm not sure why. I was so happy, and I'm there with a face like you don't know what. It's so good. And I was there, stood at full time, buzzing, but really not very happy about winning 2-0 away at Solihull.
You'll have to send it us, Morgan. You'll have to send it us. Oh, you just know because of the Yeovil fan that comes in here, they'll be the ones that beat us, and it'll be Savon Campbell. He's always going on about him. Yeah, you resting bitch face, Morgan. But yeah, this month will definitely make or break Rochdale. And this, I know it's still a long season, but the amount of tough games we do have, so we will see. We will see. But Ben, I'm going to come to you now. Any on here that you want to give a mention to?
Braintree Town 2, Eastleigh 1. That's some really important one for Braintree. They've really been in a bad run of form, to the point really where I think everyone's probably put them in their bottom 4 now to go down. For Eastleigh, I mean, I can remember us talking at the start of the season. They were in the playoffs, they were doing really well, and then they've just hit a really bad patch. Obviously sacked the manager, but Scott Bartlett, and it's just not worked so far for him. With for one reason or the other. I know he's brought in a couple of his boys from Western Supermare to see if they could help. It's not quite paying off, and they really are getting sucked into it now. I think that was a very damaging defeat for them in terms of when you look at the league table, they're only 3 points off the relegation now, and for a club like East, if they went down, it'd be a massive disaster. But for Braintree, they just needed the win because obviously with a lot of the teams around them still got 2 or 3 games in hand over them. They just need to keep ticking off some points. And as I always said about Braintree, their home form is massive for keeping them at this level. It's a very difficult place to go, Crescent Road, and they've managed to pull it out of the bag though this week. But like I say, they need to start putting a bit of form together now to give themselves any chance of staying in the National League.
Very quick point on Braintree. I don't know if I'm 100% correct here, but my gut's telling me that they are the one team in that fight down the bottom that has the same manager that they had last year that got him out of that. I think near enough everybody else's managers have changed at some point. That's a big plus point for Braintree right now. Plus the fact that everybody week in, week out underestimates them. I might be wrong, but I think I saw Luke saying we're at home to Braintree and that's going to be the game that gets our winning run going. Just don't anybody underestimate Braintree.
Yeah, I think only them and John Askey as well. I think he's still at Truro. But other than that, I think a lot of the managers have changed now around them.
Yeah, so Luke has actually put results going against us on Saturday, but we have Braintree at home on Saturday. This is where the win comes, fingers crossed. And then he's put, sadly enough, we have 3 games in hand on the teams above us. And then... and then...
I don't think he wants to be a fan anymore. I think he's given it up.
Bless him.
No
I'm
one.
here buzzing with our games in hand, and poor Luke's like, not again.
Stop playing up.
Bless him.
I've got to go watch more football.
And Luke put in his match report, they played no one at home, didn't win, lose or draw. However, managed to get to other game despite the weather and more time for Rob to prepare his team for the Braintree at home assault on Saturday. Come on, Luke. Come on. When did you end up so negative? I feel like we need to find a 0-0 quick to cheer him up.
I think it is.
It's also put a big month ahead for us. We play Truro, Morecambe, Boston, Brackley, Forest Green, and Halifax all in February.
I think ours are harder, to be honest.
I think ours are
Braintree have
harder.
got a nice one.
We'll have a competition now, Jen. I'm joking.
Right, let me have a look. I'll have a look. So we've got Altrincham, Truro, Tamworth, Southend. That's going to be a hard one. Eastleigh, Gateshead, York at home.
Opportunities. Big opportunities.
York at home at 5:30, by the way.
Oh,
Thanks
I
for that,
forgot that's
guys.
half 5. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah,
Go on,
thanks
Jen.
for that.
Go
And I've
on,
got a tattoo in the
Jen
morning as well. No, Jim's going to be fuming about that 5:30. You can't get back to Liverpool in time to put his kids to bed.
We do have Joe in the chat, and he's put, given how weak the squad is on paper, I think Steve Pitt deserves credit for one of the best coaching performances in the National League. The fact they have a chance is testament to his quality as a coach. I agree with that. 100% agree with that.
Spot on.
Right. Really quickly, does anybody else want to talk about any of the other games? I mean, the Carlisle one, 3-1, looked a very interesting one. I know Dan Sassy got sent off for Altrincham, didn't he? Someone who I'm very, very familiar with, but obviously Carlisle, a very, very good win for them. But does anybody else want to mention anything on any games?
We should very briefly just acknowledge Brackley losing their manager to Shrewsbury and
Yes.
what impact that might have. Probably a talking point when a decision's made on the new manager. But Gareth Dean's done that job as an interim before. I'd worry for Brackley. They need to get this right. There are a lot of places above the drop zone, but just 4 points. So I think one to discuss when we know who it is. But we should mention if people haven't seen it.
And David Ward, who you probably know, Morgan, who does the commentary on the York games. I haven't watched it yet, but he put a tweet out earlier on saying that in that other game that we haven't covered, Sutton against Brackley, he said, I don't know why, but I've just watched the first 5 minutes of this game. And has there been a 5 minutes in the National League that's been littered with so many mistakes? So I'll have a little look at that later. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I think it could be argued that on a day when so many of those other teams down there won, at least they both got a point on the board.
Unlike Altrincham.
Yeah, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, it's a bad day for Altrincham and Eastleigh, and a frustrating one for Truro and Morecambe and Gateshead not playing and just seeing everybody else pick up points.
Right. Let me press this button. You all might disappear. Are you ready?
Oh,
I survived.
Have we survived? Yes. Yes. So we do have a league table. This is the National League one, and top of the table, not for long though, Morgan. I'm joking, by the way. It is York City on 65 points. Rochdale are second on 64 points, but obviously do still have those 3 games in hand. Carlisle United are third on 59 points. Boreham Wood are fourth on 56 points. Scunthorpe United are fifth on 56 points. Forest Green Rovers are sixth on 55 points. And FC Halifax are seventh on 47 points. And then into the relegation zone, we do have 21st Braintree Town on 28 points. Truro City 22nd on 21 points. Morecambe are 23rd on 21 points, and Gateshead, I'm sorry, Luke, look away, are bottom of the National League on 19 points. Just having a quick look at it. I mean, there's a bit of a gap, isn't there, obviously, between Halifax and Forest Green for that, but you've got the likes of Southend just below them on 1 point behind. We do have those 2 games in hand. Just wanted to add on Southend as well, to be fair. I've mentioned them a lot, but they reminded me very similar to what we were like last season, where we went a goal up, and then just decided to sit back and kind of not go for that second goal. We kind of just took it in the stride. And it just reminded me so much of Dale last season. And a lot of Southend fans actually did agree with me on that point. But yeah, they're just obviously sitting outside the playoffs. They do have those games in hand, and we will get onto them a little bit later because they were in the FA Trophy. But next
I'd agree. I
up,
haven't seen them at
Christian.
Boston on. I'd agree. I haven't seen them at Boston on the Saturday as well. They went 1-0 up, sat back, equalised at half time, and then Boston suckered them with 2 quick goals, and it took a bad goalkeeper error for them to get back into that game. So interesting. You saw the same thing a few days later.
Yeah, honestly, it surprised me though, because I know some of the Southend fans actually said to me, because I instantly thought of that playoff game where obviously Dale were winning, Southend came back into it, and they just had that fight about them and that mentality, that never give up one. And a lot of Southend fans, to be fair, said that was in that playoff game. They didn't see that too much last season, but this season, they just seem very, very negative compared to previous, because I think a lot of Southend fans and obviously National League fans in general thought they'd be challenging, obviously, for the title. I know a few fans had them in the predictions with York. So yeah, I don't want to say I was disappointed, because obviously we got the win, but I was a little bit like, I didn't really see the Southend that I've seen before in previous seasons, I'll say. Watch it now. When we play them away, they'll absolutely batter us.
I think
there's a step down in quality, which the points gap clearly shows. But I think compared to certainly our experience of playing teams that sat even kind of 9th or 10th last season, I think that chasing pack was a lot stronger than it is this year. I think if someone gets consistency, they'll make it. I think someone like Forest Green, that's been pretty poor for a couple of months now, hasn't been punished because what's behind it is nowhere near consistent enough. Someone might break in, but I think for now it'd be an absolute travesty if whoever finishes 7th goes on to go up through the playoffs, because it's been people, to use Morgan's phrase from earlier, kind of falling upwards really, in a lot of cases. And, you know, Hartlepool again still there. Eastleigh were there for a long time, through more what other teams have been doing.
Just really quickly as well, I know Danny has mentioned from Brackley down to Braintree, it is very, very close. And yeah, it really, really is. But we have spent a lot of time talking National League, so we will move on now to National League North. I'm hoping we all survive again.
Yep.
Yes. One thing I did want to mention, though, just really, really quickly before we get into the fixtures, is a very big story off the pitch. I don't know if anybody's seen, but Works Uptown, they've obviously got planning approval now for 4 new stands at their stadium, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Very, very, very good from them. Obviously, better facilities for fans, more revenue for the club as well. So, yeah, that's something that I was really, really happy to see. Don't know if anybody else saw that.
No, I didn't see it. I've got to be honest. I didn't see it. So well done,
I picked up on it. I think we could talk all day about the ground grading, but I still, this isn't a workshop dig, because I think they do some really good stuff there. But generally, I don't get the logic of clubs coming up and getting a year to fix things. Yeah. If it's not ready or safe, it's not ready or safe. And the way in the past would have been, you had to pass your ground grading in March to get that promotion. And I know Dickie and I on NL Full Time had a debate about this last year, and he argued that clubs should get that opportunity. And he very much felt the rule was right, which I thought was an interesting viewpoint. And, and he said it gives clubs the chance to grow into the level. Yeah. But for me, we had an experience a couple of years ago away at Warrington in February, and they were really struggling to get up to speed, which they did in the end. But we visited in the middle of the league season, and half the ground was closed, and the capacity was reduced down to like 1,200, which clearly wouldn't get into the league with. I know Kettering went to Peterborough Sports one year, and the capacity was 450 for a league game because they had to do works. And I just don't understand the logic of these are the minimum requirements we need for the league.
Yeah.
But you get a year to put them in place, and because the deadline's March, you have to put them in place during the season. Clearly, workshops don't appear to be in that instance because they're going to introduce kind of prefabricated stuff, and it won't be as intrusive. But I think there would be a debate to be had as to why clubs don't even have to have that plan in place to put it in place in the summer, that they can start seasons subpar. I'm not aware there's been any issues at workshop, but I just think relevant to that. I don't really get it. I don't get where the logic is there. I know if Dickie was here, he would tell me very differently.
Ben, I'm going to ask if you're okay doing hosting duties for 2 minutes because I've had quite a lot of juice, so I do need to go for a toilet break. I will admit it live, I don't care, but Ben, I'm going to just pass over to you for 2 seconds.
Well, I'll start with the standout result from my point of view in it. How about we do that? Well, I mean, I think I'll go for Peterborough Sports beating Chorley away from home in another really good victory for Peterborough. I think that's 3 victories in a row now, and it's pulled them away. I think it's 4 points clear now of the bottom 4. So they really are starting to find some format. And against the Chorley, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I didn't realise how low Chorley were now in the table, because they're now actually closer to the bottom 4 than they are to the playoffs. So for a club that's always in and around that top 7, it's really, really surprising to see that. I mean, I don't know what your guys' take are on it, but I'm quite shocked about where they are in the table at the moment.
I know they've lost a few players, but they seem to just, I don't know, you said they had that consistency and they were scoring goals. Obviously, Craig Hewitt left to us, and was it Justin Johnson? Was that his name? Quite a good winger. And he left. And they just seem to have lost their best players and not really replaced them. It seems like that. I know Dartford was similar in the National League South for quite a few years. Was it 7 years in a row Dartford were in the playoffs and then eventually fell away and they got relegated or something? Like, I think that's what happened. It just feels like Chorley are kind of doing the same thing. It's like you finally run out of that momentum. If you don't get it done, so Brackley finally got up into the National League and start building as a National League club. Chorley kind of needed to hit that. Kidderminster have come up and gone back down. Obviously, I know Maidstone, Ben, you've had your issues of like being in the playoffs, not quite making it, but teams have had enough variance in seasons. Boreham Wood up and down, Dorking have gone up and down. I feel like Chorley was so stagnant of we'll make the playoffs, make the playoffs, make the playoffs. That I don't know if it's complacency or what, of we are a playoff team or a top 6 or top 7 team, and it's finally caught up to them. I don't know what's gone wrong, but it is weird seeing them that low now, where they've just not been able to string results together at all this year.
And Andy Priest has been manager there for a while now.
Yes.
I think he's a really good manager. I think he's really respectful to deal with as a bloke as well. I've got a lot of admiration for him really in the way he's carried himself at times. But I do think you're right, Morgan, that if you get a bit stagnant in the league, you tend to leave it through the wrong direction. I don't think that's coming this year for Chorley, but I think Alfreton, we could say the same in this league. They were playoffs, boom, bottom 4. They got a big result amongst a load of controversy at Kings Lynn with the goal that wasn't given and meant to be over the line, according to the Kings Lynn fans. But yeah, I think it's true. If you don't take steps forwards, you're soon falling backwards, aren't you?
And Ben, just the flip of that, and this is the only contribution I want to make to the National League North. It's my closest club, or second closest actually, because Bedford are, but Peterborough Sports. What a turnaround in the last 3 games. Going into them, they had not won in 7. They lost 5 and drew 2. And now they've beaten Chester 3-0, Macclesfield 4-3 coming from behind, and away to Chorley 1-0. What an incredible set of results, 9 points that have lifted up Peterborough Sports. And so I just wanted to give their take on it. To go to Chorley and win 1-0 after those other 2 wins is fantastic and gives them a real fighting chance of punching again. Staying in this division for Peterborough Sports, the same as it would be for Bedford, would be a fantastic achievement.
I'm just going to really quickly go to the chat as well, because we do have quite a lot of chat about National League North. So I knew there was one in there somewhere, Luke. I knew there was one in there somewhere for you. He said 0-0 sirens are going off in his house. We've got Danny as well, who said Radcliffe stopped the rot there after a few losses. I know they did have a few losses, didn't they? And also, we do have Chester chat. So Matt has put Chester are a bit of a car crash at the moment. really odd decision to announce Callum McIntyre leaving at the end of the season when the fans want him gone. Now, what do we all think about that situation, the Callum McIntyre one?
Strange one, isn't it?
It's weird. They're points wise not far off the playoffs. Before the weekend, I think they're only 5 points off. So maybe looking less likely by the week. But there was a world in which they got into the playoffs, even went up, and then the manager's going. I don't see what it's. I don't know. Maybe the contractual position is one that means Chester can't afford to sack him now. But then almost why announce it? I think if I was a Chester fan who bought my season ticket or was thinking about buying tickets for the remaining home games, I would argue there's a lack of ambition from the club. They're in a holding pattern. I can think of times with Boston where we've had low crowds when we've sat 10th in divisions because there's nothing to play for. And it seems like an acceptance of that from the club. I don't think a surprising decision. The home form's been dreadful. And we know what Chester fans are like. I don't think that's controversial to say. Things can get toxic quite quickly. And ultimately, they're a club that expect bigger and better things. And having been the losing playoff finalists last year, it hasn't been good enough. And they've got a negative goal difference. They're 7 points off the top four and only 10 off the drop zone. I don't think they're going to go down, but I do think they're going to finish back where they are now, which is 14th.
Ratcliffe had conceded 12 goals in their last 3 games, losing them all.
3 huge defeats, weren't there?
I don't think anyone, even given their home form, saw that result coming.
And of course, it'd have been Bernard Jono going back to Chester as well, which I think would have rubbed the salt in the wounds. We should say South Shields as well, with followed in FA Trophy action. Big opportunity to extend their lead at the top of the table, which is now 9 points. They were due to play each other on Tuesday night, and that got postponed up in the northeast. So that game's still to come. But unless Fard go to South Shields and win, I think it's going to take a lot for the Mariners now to miss out on promotion. And I would very much assume that'll be the highest they've ever been, South Shields. Certainly in their current guise. I know back in the 60s, they'd have been in the Northern Premier League when that was the top level. But I don't think South Shields as an entity have been at the top level of non-league football since then, really, certainly since the conference came in.
Just going to quickly go back to the chat because we do have our Spenny fan Chris. And finally, bless him, he has put Buxton away. We actually won a game, and he's put that in capitals. And against a team like Buxton, especially, is it Sakid? Cam Sakid? Did my northern accent do that justice? Yeah. And I know this one, Dan Jones scoring from corners. Yeah, I got to pronounce that one very well. Scoring from corners, even with Spennymoor down to 10 men, we got a result in the end. Very, very good win for Spennymoor because I know Chris, he was getting really, really frustrated. And he actually said, obviously, he thinks it's because he's not in the country. He's in Charlotte, North Carolina. So they managed to get that win before, obviously, he did come back to England. And he's also mentioned, and I know we have mentioned it a few times, but Hereford again, struggling. Curzon Ashton did beat them 2-1. I know they do have games in hand. I know we mentioned it a fair few times, but at the moment, it's not looking good at all, is it?
It really
isn't. No.
It's not looking good getting a game on,
Yes.
At their own ground.
14 home games left. Pitch inspection again tomorrow morning for tomorrow night. They're running out of time.
I think as well, when, like Shai, you've got games in hand, but you're on good form, so the players and the manager want these games in hand. You want them to happen.
Yeah.
If you're on bad form, like Gates said, Luke said, I don't want to go to the football at the moment. When you're on a bad run of form, you do not want games to happen. The manager wants more time on the training ground. And obviously, Jen, you will have seen it at Morecambe this year. Like when you're on bad form, you had these games in hand, you don't want to turn up and play against a team that's well drilled, well run, got this match fitness going, match sharpness, know what they're doing. You want a chance to breathe, and they've got 7 games in hand over Worksop, and they're 10 points behind them. Like they're going to drown in games. They are going to be playing 3 times a week at some point in the next few months, and it's just going to kill them. And I think we're going to see Hereford in the 7th tier because I don't see where you get the momentum from. You need something to snap it, and I don't see where it comes from when you either can't get a game on you're playing a team that's far more ready for a match to actually go. So I just don't see where this save of Hereford season comes from.
You'd
For
like
half
to
the
think
season,
that-
though.
Still
Oh,
half a
sorry.
season, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you like to think that they've got a contingency plan in place. So I think maybe if tomorrow gets called off, you start to get to the point of thinking they have to go and ground share somewhere to finish the games. Because I know, obviously, Truro had to do that a few years ago. They had to go and play Gloucester every week. Taunton did exactly the same in the south. So, I mean, you've still got half a season to play, and we're just coming to February now. It's a lot to ask for now. Even if they are to stay up, I think it'd be a miracle now. Personally, I think the 3 games a week, it's going to happen at some point. Not probably just once. It's going to have a good few times. I think it's just going to knacker them out. And let's say with a squad that probably, I'm guessing, part time, they're just not going to be able to cope with the standards of this league, and demands of this league, especially when the pitches are getting heavier as well. It's going to be a big ask.
Yeah.
I think they might have to ground share at Gloucester because they need that 4G pitch. Like, I don't know how much it would cost and if they can afford to rip up the grass and put down 4G, but it might almost be the way they can continue to play football because grass just isn't working in that part of, I don't know if it's their drainage or that part of the country or the weather or whatever it is. They just can't get football games on, whereas Gloucester, which isn't too far, have a 4G pitch and are playing more games, yes, in the league below, but I'd assume Hereford would be okay if they had a 4G pitch at National League North level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get these teams who just can't get a game on at their ground.
Yeah, honestly. Who is that?
One just gets oneself a new pitch, doesn't one?
Yeah.
Just get a new pitch.
Some
I
teams
can
buy
use that
players who
now.
buy a pitch.
I've not been able to ever use that one because of our drainage system. So,
Oh, sure.
Matt has put Hereford's situation shows the value at this level of having an artificial pitch. That is true. That is true. Jen, I'm going to come to you. Any standouts on here for you?
I was going to mention the South Shields game because, again, they just are a team that are absolutely flying in the North, and I don't see it any other way that they don't come up, to be honest. I think it's a team that no one expected to be there, but somehow are there, and they're definitely putting on a show for the league at the minute.
Morgan?
Darlington 3, Merthyr 1. See, we
Yeah.
spoke about Merthyr all year, and obviously we've spoken about
We
Ricardo
jinxed
Rees. No, I think they jinxed themselves. I'm not going to let us take the blame for that. They let Ricardo Rees go to Robbie Savage, so I'm not taking responsibility for that. But Darlington, they got Rory Watson on loan from us. They got slightly unlucky because Tiernan Brooks went from Gateshead up into Middlesbrough, I think. Oh,
He's gone Charlton.
I knew it was a big jump into the Football League. He's gone there, so then Gateshead had to recall Pete Jameson, and then Darlington were left without a keeper. I think Rory Watson's an excellent addition. They did keep a clean sheet this week, but if you've got a team with Paddy McLaughlin, Scott Barrow, and Rory Watson, as well as like Will Hatfield and some of the other experienced players, Tom Platt as well, they've got a hell of a lot of experience in that team. Steve Watson knows the level pretty well. And then like Cedric Main, who I think is pretty good for National League North level, they seem to have all the makings of a pretty solid playoff team, which they haven't been able to say for a good few years now. They were kind of always just kind of dwindling around mid-table, like where Chester are now. They're similar-sized clubs, and they were just kind of dwindling. This year, they've been able to put it together and just get onto decent runs of form. I think Darlington now is that unbeaten in the last 4, 3 wins in the last 4. Not kept a clean sheet in a while, but they're getting the wins, and they're now sat 5th. They're 10 points off 3rd with 2 games in hand. If they can do that and they get that bye and they get into that semi-final, they might be able to get back up into the 5th tier, which Darlington fans would be pretty happy with, considering they've not been back in the 5th tier for a really long time.
Definitely agree with that. Any others anybody wants to mention? Christian, any others for you on here?
I think good to see Maxfield getting
Very
in the steps
good.
towards the playoffs. Obviously, the FA Cup story, the Ethan McLeod story. I think they will make it. I think I said it last week, either here or on NL Full Time. Every week I look at Scarborough. They don't win. They're still 7th. I think Macclesfield might be the solution to that in the end. Pleased you point out Darlington, because I think they've been really consistent this season. You mentioned the defensive acumen they've got in that team, but you just look at the 3 goal scorers. Mainly, again, you mentioned Maskell and Rutledge. National League North defence is not going to want to see much of that too often.
No,
I think
yeah,
Darlington could
yeah,
be really dark horses, and they go against our theory of if you stay mid-table for a long time, you go the wrong way out of a division. That's football. I'm really pleased for them. They're lovely people up at Darlington, and they've had it quite steady for a long time.
Anybody else got anything to add on the North? Nope.
I just hope Luke's happy. He got 0-0.
I know. I know. Bless him. Bless him. Oh, have we survived it? We've survived it again. I tell you what, I'm getting good at this. So, top of the National League North, we have South Shields on 66 points. AFC filed a second on 57 points, but they do have 2 games in hand. Merthyr Town a third on 56 points. Kidderminster Harriers a fourth on 51 points. Darlington a fifth on 46 points. Radcliffe a sixth, also on 46 points. And Scarborough, like you said, Christian, they are seventh still on 44 points. And then in the relegation zone, Oxford City are 21st on 27 points. Alfreton, 22nd on 25 points. Hereford, as we did mention, they are 23rd on 22 points. And Leamington are bottom of the National League North on 17 points. Just having a quick look at everything. Like we mentioned before, Rob, Peterborough Sports, obviously, they've picked up the points, haven't they? Obviously, being out of relegation zone now.
It looks a lot healthier for them.
Yeah.
A couple of games in hand on the 2 teams above them. I'm just wondering, my geography's not that good, but how far is there between Hereford and Merthyr geographically? Because look, Merthyr have played 30 games, more than anybody else in the top half. They've only got 16 games left. I don't suppose that goes down. Well, yeah, even more reason than, no, seriously. I mean, we did find some humour in that. But if you're a Hereford fan, things are really quite serious right now. Quite desperate, I would imagine. And they need to find a way. There have probably been a lot of contingency meetings going on there about how they handle this, because it's not just about getting the games on. It's about their livelihood and their status. And we've lost or nearly lost Hereford before, haven't we? So we don't want to lose them again.
Definitely. Do you think a lot comes down to their structure as well? Because I know they are fan-owned, aren't they? And that was one of the reasons where we had to obviously change the whole structure of it, because as much as it's good being fan-owned and having the shareholders, we just couldn't pump that money into the club like we can now. So do you think that could obviously play a part? It's good in one aspect where it's obviously safety and stability from that kind of thing, where I know we've seen owners in the past and bad owners, but I think on the other side of it, the flip side, it is hard to sustain being fan owned in this day and age, isn't it?
Darlington is similar though.
That is true.
I think some of Hereford's issues came down to they had to change the floodlights early season.
Yeah.
From memory, I think that hurt one flank of the pitch, and they just haven't got it back under control. I think Rob's right. They're going to need to be some contingencies. But we mentioned that Truro-Gloucester situation. That didn't come about until the start of March when it got to 3 games a week. So I don't know when the National League step in. I think they're probably going to have to. If Hereford get tomorrow's game called off again, just getting their fixtures up. They've got Fylde at home on Saturday. If those 2 don't go ahead, they're going to have 14 home games to play in the last 2.5 months of the season. As a fan, grim. I mean, you've only seen 9 home league games so far this season. You've bought your season ticket in good faith, and you're not going to get that chance. Fans aren't going to pay to watch football 3 times a week at 20 quid a head either.
No.
And then the bottom 4, it's going in the wrong direction. I think something's going to have to change pretty soon because it's getting unsustainable.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Completely agree. In the chat as well, Matt has put the fan-owned model is probably holding back Chester too. Don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on that one or agrees with that one.
I think it probably played into the stacking. Sorry, Christian, go ahead.
I was just going to say, they were only 90 minutes away from promotion last season.
Exactly.
I think it can be fine margins sometimes.
I do think it probably played into the sacking a little bit, or the decision to say he's going to leave at the end of the season, because those fans were baying for blood and they wanted him gone for a while, but because the fan owned, they don't have the money. So the fans have this entitlement saying we should have a say, and if we don't want a manager here, he should be gone. But at the same time, they don't have the owner that can kind of cut him in the same way, because it won't be on a cheap contract. It will be quite expensive to pay that off and sack him. So I think Leicester are kind of caught in this almost catch-22 of they're underperforming. They can't really afford to sack him. They just have to let him go at the end of the season while the fans are baying for blood because they're so fan-owned. They're caught in a really weird situation.
And just a final, it'll take 5 seconds point on Hereford. You mentioned their fans have only seen 9 home games this season. So since August, they've seen their side win at home in the league twice.
Wow.
2 home wins.
Wow.
Grim.
So the majority of their points picked up on the road.
Joe's put, given how they are playing, Hereford fans are the lucky ones, having only watched a team 9 times at home. I love that.
I did see a comment about.
Go on, Christian.
Right, I was going to say I did see a comment about Kings Lynn as well. Obviously,
Yes.
ex-Boston in Culverhouse in there. I worry for Ian. Got relegated out of the National League South last year with St Albans in a very different circumstance. They had a big points deficit last year. Nearly got out, to their credit. I don't think anyone was blaming Ian there. And again, to mount a defensive Ian Culverhouse, I don't think anyone can really blame him here. They've not won for 9 games, but as far as I understand it, there was a big overspend at the start of the season at Kings Lynn. Obviously, there was the legal issues and the conduct issues with the previous management as well. I think Kings Lynn have done well to salvage something of a season from where they were, but they're clearly going to want to stay in the division, and that's what Ian will have been brought in to achieve. And they are sliding at the moment. I just think there'll be 4 worse teams in that division.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the 4 that are there now. And Peterborough Sports have shown you can get out. But my instinct is they've got enough with what's left of that squad. And then it all needs to kind of be burnt down and started again in the summer. With Ian or without, probably with. I think he deserves a fair crack at it, but he's got to do the first job first, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Right, Ben, you've been waiting so patiently. so patiently.
Wake up, Ben. I'm sorry.
I could have waited another 2 hours, to be honest, after Saturday.
You don't have to talk about Maidstone. You can just talk about the whole of the other fixture list if you like.
If we could, that'd be much better, actually.
Talk to us about any fixture you like.
I mean, to be honest, if I'm picking standouts, I mean, I'll save the obvious one for anyone else because I think it's fair to see on the screen. But I've got to give actually some credit to Dover, beating Hemel 2-1 away from home. Hemel been on a very good run. Also, very difficult to beat at home. They would have come off a lot positive having come off the back of a win against us last week. It's gone a little bit. It's not been the best few days for Hemel, to be fair. They've gone and conceded 93rd minute against a side that have been very inconsistent for form. It's been very frustrating for Dover fans after a very good start to the season. It seems to be dipping out a little bit for them. But Hemel now have lost Miller Matthews-Lewis to Burton Albion, who's just signed in the last few hours. So, which is a big coup for a lot of the teams going for a promotion this day because he's one of their standouts. He is, and scored a bicycle kick against us last week. So I'm quite glad to see the back of him. He's cost us another 4 more points this year. So, but yeah, no, look, it's a good win for Dover. They just needed that on the road, and last minute win from Ryan Hansen would have given their fans something to cheer about because it's been a bit on and off for them really in recent weeks. So yeah, that would be the standout for me.
What I'm going to quickly do as well is we do have a match report, and Steve has apologised. Do not ever apologise for the match report because we love hearing about people who have been to the game. So never ever apologise for how long the match report is. But he has put Chelmsford at home. We are obviously the best team in the league, and we're going back to the conference. Great result. Battered them from start to finish. They only had 3 chances. in transition all game. And then he put, the rest of the game was played around their box. Obviously, the red card helped us massively in terms of keeping control of the game, but we could have been 2 or 3 up when it came, and on another, bear with me, day, it could have easily been 10-0. And because Chelmsford love to embarrass themselves, a group of about 15 of them decided to jump 2 of our fans outside the stadium after the game. Pathetic. That's not nice. That never, ever, ever should happen.
Grim.
Silly individuals. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. But a very, very, very good result. Obviously, for Slough, isn't it? 5-0. I wasn't expecting it, to be fair, but a very good result.
Yeah,
We got on Saturday as well.
Oh, God.
5 wins out of 7 for Scotty Davis's men.
Yeah.
That's starting from a place in the bottom 4 where they had slipped to, and now 5 wins out of 7. That is terrific turnaround. Great guts, great character. We all love Scotty. I know you've said before, Shah. You know, I've known him a very long time, and you know, I don't know how he does it, because Michael Gash aside, who's now moved on, hasn't he? Obviously from Peterborough, he is the only player manager at this level in the sixth tier of English football, and he's been doing it for I don't know how long now, 3-4 years, and he's still managing to play. He's had so many injuries at the back. He's ended up being, I think, the defender that's played the most games this season. And that wasn't the plan for Scotty. But yeah, it's an awful day for Chelmsford. Coming on the back of 3 straight wins, I think Angelo Harrop said afterwards. So yeah, it's another one of those weird ones. We do get them, don't we? We get some very odd looking results.
I'm going to come to you again, Rob. Any on here you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'd have to mention the one I watched. I mentioned when we started the pod that I had 2 devices set up on Saturday. The Wi-Fi here was so strong, and really solid home win for Dorking Wanderers. I know Mark always has a lot of respect for Salisbury, but they do generally beat them. I think it's the 4th time they've played them this season as well. We have to mention Pat Casey. I go back to that day. I saw Mark online saying Charlton have got a young striker. We're just putting an appeal out. We'd like him to come to us on loan, please. It was very tongue-in-cheek. Next thing you know, it happened. Scoring a goal a game there. And it's coinciding with, I think, I haven't checked up on this, but I think Dorking's strongest run of the season now. And they've pulled up right level on points at the top with Joe's team, which I'm sure we'll cover in just a minute. But really solid home win for Dorking. And I looked at their starting lineup and their bench on Saturday, and you know, the prolonged injury crisis they've had, there are still 2 or 3 out long term, but my goodness me, that was the best I've seen their bench looking, with a strong starting lineup as well, for a long time. And I think Dorking, to get to this stage of the season and be level on points at the top of the division with the momentum they've got and the players they've got back, they are seriously in the title race here, with admittedly 2 or 3 other sides.
Completely agree with that. Who do I come to next? Jen.
I was going to mention Torquay and Hornchurch. I just feel like Torquay are on an absolute blighter at the minute, and it was a 1-3 game. It was a fight to see who's going up this season, but yeah, I just feel like Torquay are absolutely flying at the minute, and they're just doing incredible, and it must be amazing to be a fan of them right now.
I wonder if Joel's in the chat. I'm waiting for him.
There's no way he's left yet. He's been waiting for this bit.
Come on, Joe.
I remember, I didn't get too much detail, but I know Hornchurch took the lead in this game, and Torquay came from behind. So it was a big turnaround, a turnaround that took them ultimately, as we'll see in a little while, to the top of the league, albeit level on points with another team.
Yeah, rare home defeat as well for Hornchurch. I think only 2 sides have gone there and won this year, us and Torquay. So that's the thing. If you go in there and get a result, then you've got half a chance at the moment. And Torquay, that's the thing, is put on top of the league now, and it's obviously now on Hornchurch to not mess up that game in hand, because then it is back in Torquay's hands again, which I probably wouldn't have imagined about a good 3 or 4 weeks ago. But you've got to give credit to Paul Whitton's side. They've stepped up. They're playing some good stuff at the moment. Even when we played them a few weeks ago, they were okay. So they are starting to show the quality that they can produce now. Now they had Jordan Young back as well. I think he scored the winner as well.
Got 2.
I got 2 today. Oh, there you go then. So it shows how much of a big player he's missing when he got sent off the other week against us. So that's a big result for them.
He got man of the match and in the National League's team of the week, and they changed his name to Jamie. Yeah. Jamie Young, who's an Australian former goalkeeper at this level. Just a footnote on that one. Look at that for a mouth-watering fixture on Saturday. Torquay United at home to Dorking.
Oh!
And Western Worthing again tomorrow.
Again tomorrow?
Yeah, they played each other on Saturday and they play again tomorrow night. I think it's Western have just played Hornchurch. It's been this week and last have been a lot of teams at that top end playing each other, and Dorking have just come right through the middle of it.
I say, because Dorking for a while they're outside the playoffs, and then they were like 4th or 5th, and they're about a playoff team. And then you look up now, and what's that? 3 wins in the last 4, I think it is. Yeah, 3 wins in a row, unbeaten in 4, and they're now joint top of the league. And as you said, obviously they've had the injury crisis. It looks like Jason Prowse on the bench, Alfie Rutherford on the bench, Niall McManus on the bench, Tony Craig on the bench. Like, that's strength and depth for that team. Now they've got some players back. But,
Paul McCallum just slipping in there in the last month or 2 as well. Paul
it's
McCallum.
Like now they've got players back to flying.
Yeah, I think Rutherford he might be out for a little while with a hamstring. I mean, there probably can't be another team in the National League that's got 5 forwards that good. That's crazy.
Joe has sent in his match report. He said it's only a short one. He's put Jordan Young with 2 pearlers and Sonny Blue, Low Modric running the show once again. Morgan, I am going to come to you. Any on here you do want to give a mention to?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. I'm going to go after Worthing, because I said it last time I was on here about them not having the ability to bite down and grit out a win. And Ben, I think I was saying it to you last time I was on, about how Worthing, they can play this gorgeous football, beat a team 4-5-0, and then when it comes to the crunch end of the season, Hinchelwood does not know what, I don't want to say doesn't know what to do, but no wins in the last 6. 1-1 draw. Western Superman are a good team, but 1-0 lost to Hampton, lost to Bath, drew with, again, Horsham, Don DePel's doing a good job. They lost a 5-4 firefight to Salisbury at the start of January, drew with Chippenham, who we know are struggling. I don't know what it is, but he can fly out in the first half of the season, and Worthing look unstoppable, and they're putting 5 past teams. You're like, oh my God, like Brad Dolham was scoring loads. Last year it was Ollie Pearce, and the year before that it was Ollie Pearce, and he can get so much performance out of a team in the first half of the season. And I don't know whether it's naivety or what, but again, an Adam Hinchelwood team has started collapsing the second half of the season, and we were saying they're going to run away with this title. They were top and they were ahead of Hornchurch. They're 4th. They're only 2 points off it, but when you look at the form that Dorking are in, and Torquay are at least 5 unbeaten, and Hornchurch have started to slip a little bit, but I think Hornchurch probably are able to pick up more wins at the moment than Worthing are. I don't know what it is about his management style, because we can see the style of football he plays, but after January, after Christmas, he seems to have had his fun and not be able to adapt. I don't know if there's injuries or if other teams adapt to him or what it is. But they're not going to go up if they keep doing this. Obviously, they have to snap out of this form at some point, but you can't keep making the same mistakes over and over. He failed to get Worthing out of National League South when he was manager first time around. He failed to get us up despite an incredible first half of the season last year, and then there was issues in the second half. He's then gone back to Worthing and he's having the same issues. At what point does a manager learn?
Also, though, you mentioned no win in 6, 3 draws in that, and 3 defeats. And the 3 defeats to Salisbury, Bath, and Hampton Richmond, who were 18th, 19th, and 20th. Staggering, isn't it?
Staggering.
Ben, have you got a theory, Ben, on Worthing and on Hinchelwood? Because I didn't realise there was a pattern there.
I mean, it's hard to judge on. I think Morgan's right in what he's saying, because when it does come to crunch time for Hedgewood, it just doesn't seem to deliver. I don't know whether it just boils down to pressure. I mean, not necessarily maybe for him, but for the players maybe. Like you're asked every week to go out and play this beautiful style of football, and then everyone's going to rip you apart. We're at the stage of the season now where everyone is scraping for points now. Whether they're top or bottom. Look at Chipping, and they're going into 2-0 lead, deservedly went into a 2-0 lead, and only just about got a point out of it. I mean, even Saturday's game, it was a last minute goal from Louis Britton, and it was actually a bad keeper error as well, where the ball's come into the box, the keeper's flat-footed on, and he's palmed it straight out to the one man you don't palm it out to in this division is Louis Britton, who will score goals for fun, and it's cost him another 2 points. It would have been a very good victory, and it would have been a big morale booster as well for the whole club. But it just almost feels like, oh, here we go again. So it really is a hard one to look at the moment, because I was convinced about a month ago that Worthing were going to absolutely blitz the league, because they were just destroying everyone. It wasn't a case of winning games 1-0, 2-1. They were winning games 4 or 5-0, and I thought it was going to be really easy for them towards the end. But it just shows, like that maybe it's a bit complacency that's come into it. Who knows? Like it's the thing. Some of these players, bringing, it's all happening. It's all coming together now, but they do forget that a lot of other teams are fighting for the same thing as well. And it is a difficult one for Worthing. I just don't see at the moment how they're going to get out of it after 1 month going, thinking who's going to stop them. So it just shows how quickly this division changes.
I know players have to recover from games, but this is fascinating for me tomorrow night, because this is where the managers really earn their corn. They have just squared up toe to toe against each other, and now they go up against each other again tomorrow night. And in theory, to me, or in my opinion, the quality of the managers is going to be key here. You've just set up against this team. It ended up as a draw. What are you going to do differently to make sure you win the next time and you come out with all 3 points? I would imagine that the Dorking and the Torquay fans will probably be wanting to have another 1-1 tomorrow night.
No, I'm definitely back in Western to win tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
I think at home they can be relentless at home, and I just think psychologically getting the last minute equaliser maybe would keep them in good stead, and they'll take that momentum into tomorrow, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely good point. Christian, any you want to give a mention to?
Big result for Ebbsfleet, and I watched Ben's face as we mentioned Ebbsfleet after their little hiccup against Maidstone not too long ago, but they had won 5 in a row before that in the league. Bounced straight back against a Maidenhead team that's been a bit up and down, but continuing to stake that claim for that last playoff spot, and maybe starting to think about overtaking Hemel as well, and seeing where the form of Worthing and Weston could take them. A team that so emphatically got relegated last season, you'd have thought stability would have been the aim, and from that point of view, they may be overachieving what might have been expected of them. Ben might disagree, or others that have got a bit of a firmer footing in the South camp. But I just think when a team goes down with 20 or so points off safety, very difficult to challenge straight away, get that winning habit back, and they're starting to find it now at the right time of the season as well.
I think there is a bit of a thought that Ebbsfleet do have one of the biggest budgets in the division. I have heard that secondhand. Ben, I see you nodding. Joe, who's not with us tonight, has stated that this season. I don't know that he's got everybody's figures in front of him, but I'm only picking up on that because, Christian, you mentioned about expectations. And I think Ebbsfleet's expectations very much would have been to make the playoffs at least this season, based on
they've got a very nice, but it's against teams really scrapping for their lives. So it is that nice at this time of the season. They've got a kind of run coming up. We've just discussed a lot of those playoff teams playing each other. They're not doing that, Ebbsfleet. So clearly they've got the opportunity to climb above or to gain points on 1 or 2 teams every single week. And it will be interesting, again, come the end of February when all these fixtures have been played out, just where they are. And if the expectations were there, then fair enough. They've stuck at it, and they're perhaps returning to where they felt they ought to have been then.
I'm just going to really quickly as well, on the Worthing discussion we were talking about, Joe has put in his thoughts. And he's put, personally, I feel Worthing are so intent on keeping the ball and it gives the opposition a rest. Teams are becoming cuter to pick their moments to go for the jugular.
Yeah.
That's what Joe's put.
Sounds about right.
They're very inefficient, aren't they? If you look at their goal difference, plus 29, scored 60 odd goals. But as Ben mentioned, or Morgan, it's often 3 or 4-0 wins, and then the close games they don't come out on top on.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams that are much more efficient in that league. You look at Hemel are only 3 points beneath them, and they've scored less than half the goals. Maybe when it's going good, it's going good, and then when it needs to be a scrap, and I saw there was a comment as well about when it comes to a fight, they just haven't quite got it. And it's easy to play well in the summer when the pitches are good and the pressure's not quite so there.
Yep.
Ben, anything else you want to add on the South?
I mean, I think I've probably given Cheshire a bit of credit as well. Actually, we probably haven't talked about them enough this season. To be fair,
No.
I think to go away from home against a struggling Chippenham side, I think they raced into a 4-0 lead, before half time actually. So probably the goal I was sort of expected to be a couple more in the second half, but just Chippenham have probably looked to damage limitation a little bit, and it really is a tough time for them. Just when I thought they were starting to get back on track a little bit. But, for Cheshire, they're a hard-working side at this level. I think Michael Murray has done a really good job down there. They've really, sort of taken to the level. And, again, they're one of those sides you'd always be expected to be near the bottom now, given their resources. But, they've got a spirit down there, and their fans really get behind them. They know what they are, and they are one of those clubs that are probably happy to be competing at this level. But I think if you ask the directors like Alex Horn, I think he'd love to be challenging for the playoffs. But yeah, again, look, they're not that far off. I think they're only 1 point behind us at the moment, 4 points off the playoffs. So they're doing okay still. They're still keeping within that pack. But that win would have given them a little bit more of a confidence booster, I think, after dropping off a little bit recently.
Joe has obviously put his comment in as well. Mark White said, obviously, versus Worthing, in bunch of amateurs, this game will win, be won in turnovers. Let them have the ball and be aggressive when we have a chance to get at them.
Yeah. That's exactly how we did it a few times.
Anything else anybody wants to add before
Anything happening in Kent on Saturday or?
God, no. You think you've got it sorted, haven't you, with Kent derbies, haven't you? And then all of a sudden it's 2 steps back. So, it's Tunbridge. It wasn't our best day, to be honest. Look, it's their big game of the year for Tunbridge. I mean, I'm not saying going to be that simple saying it's their cup final, but their big game of their year they look forward to is Maidstone at home, and it was hostile, put it that way. From the moment we walked in, I knew it weren't going to be an easy day off. Tunbridge is one of those games, like Ebbsfleet away as well, where you just want to get the 3 points and get out, to be honest. It's one of those places. And, it wasn't a great day in terms of the fact that I got abused by the home supporters for the first time. That's never happened before.
Really?
Not just us. Helen, who does our photo, she got abused. She got told that the whole of there behind the goal chanted, you can stick your camera up your backside. Then I got abused on my appearance by a couple of people, which were, I thought, oh, that's nice of them to do that. But I didn't, react to it like that. Look, I sort of expected we might have got a little bit from their supporters that we're not great fans of theirs and everything like that. And I think what I learned on Saturday is they hate us a lot more than we hate them. I think now come to a realization, and I thought we started off brilliantly. We got off go after 5 minutes through Dion Moore, header from sort of a couple of yards out, and and then we've sort of sat back a little bit. I want the credit I will give Tunbridge is the fact they were very quick on the turnovers. It's every time that we had a set piece, they cleared it away straight away. Frankie Baker's holding up the ball, and they look so dangerous in the counter-attack. You would have thought we worked it out after 20 minutes, but we didn't. And they've hit the post 3 times. They get what was deserved equalised. I think I was disappointed the fact that we didn't build on from Tuesday night against Ebbsfleet, where we've absolutely spanked them, all across the pitch. Beating them with physicality, with passion. But I think Tunbridge, gave us completely different. Like they wanted that game more than us. I felt. I think we were very lucky to get away with a point. To be honest, I think don't get me wrong, we had a couple of moments, but I think over the course of the game, I think Tunbridge had the better chances. And look, they've taken 4 points off us this year. And I think I've just seen Steve comment. Look, they do see it as like, it is like the Champions League for them. I mean, you look at their Twitter page, it's still the header is when they beat us 2-1. It's the scoreline from when they beat us 2-1. They've had that up now for 3 months. So look, I'm not gonna not gonna get into the whole debate of being all bitter about it, because look, Tunbridge deserved the point out of it. Probably deserved all 3. I mean, George was quite happy, it's probably disappointed to not come away with victory, which I probably didn't look at, to be honest. I thought we weren't quite at it. But look, they're very good at what they do, Tunbridge. Look, I think Joe just put in, Alan Dunn's done a good job down there. He's got them playing for him. And I think he's taken to the fixture. He's taken 4 points off us, himself. And he knows how much it means to their supporters. And I thought they looked very effective at what they did. And, I think they keep playing like that, I think they'll be fine, to stay up in the division. They're still not quite there just yet. They've still got probably little bit of work to do. But I think there's worse teams than them in the division, to be honest. And don't think they'll go down. But, I'm disappointed we didn't take advantage of what was a good week with an Ipswich result. But look, it is what it is. But no, I think a draw is probably the best we could have hoped for. It's a hard one. At this moment, I can probably say we might sneak in, maybe into 7th spot, but I think we're too consistent at the moment. What I'm glad of is the fact that now we've got almost the derby games out of the way. We've only got Dover now away. We've sort of now got a run now where we can sort of go, right, the big sort of, derby games, where it's really crunch time, we can sort of just crack on now. We've got a run in where we've probably expected to get some points on the board now. We've got Slough, but again, they're going to be coming back off the back of a 5-0 victory against Chelmsford. You've got Chippenham, who are down the bottom. You've got Eastbourne, who are in the bottom as well. So we've got some points in there that are winnable for us. But that's the thing. We've not say it's necessarily struggled against the bottom sides. I think we picked up the points that we should have done. But it's a hard one, to be honest. I can see us just missing out, to be honest. Maybe I don't think we've got quite the strength that maybe I would have hoped for. But look, we've got Mo Farrell, who still needs to get up to scratch. And once we've got him up to scratch fitness-wise, he'll be an absolute player for us, as we know he can be. But it's still a long way to go yet. But I'm sort of keeping my cards close to my chest, and I think about whether we'll make the playoffs or not, because I'm still not sure myself, really.
Ben, I've just had a trigger back to last year. This time last year, this is exactly how you played this all the way, and then you romped into the playoffs, came through the first round, didn't you? And then obviously went out to Boreham Wood. But there's a lot of clubs in there. There's more than 7 clubs that will feel that they were in or are in for those top 7 places, aren't there? And there's a bit of an excuse me going on there. Shah, I know you brought the table up. I was just going to mention ever so quickly, the only game we didn't discuss, it was a bit of a damp squib, really, for Enfield and Eastbourne, who met at Eastbourne, yes. And they drew 1-1. And as we can now see, a point each that probably wasn't what either of them wanted or needed on the day.
Right. Before I go to Joel's comment, I will just read out the table. Torquay are top of the table on 53 points. Dorking are second on 53 points. Hornchurch are third on 52 points. Worthing are fourth on 51 points. Weston-super-Mare are fifth on 49 points. Hemel Hempstead are sixth on 48 points. Ebbsfleet are seventh on 47 points. And in the relegation zone, 21st, we have Farnborough on 28 points. Enfield Town, 22nd on 22 points. Eastbourne Borough are 23rd on 22 points. And Chippenham Town, they are bottom of the National League South on 20 points. And what makes me laugh is still the top teams, it is still ever so close, and it's reminding me of that last game of the season. And I feel like National League South, every single season, it's just so competitive and just so exciting. Like, it really does excite me year after year after year.
Yeah, it's still tough to call. It's still too tough to call who's going to win it at the moment for me.
Joe did put obviously about Maidstone as well. They may scrape into 7th, but I am sure all the playoff sides will tell you they are one team no one wants in the playoffs. Ella Colby sides aren't easy to play against, always a very tough game.
I appreciate that, Joe, but you've got to get in there first. I wish we were top of the league where you are at the moment, to be honest. But fair play to Torquay. I'm pleased for them.
I think
Maidstone are the.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say I think Maidstone are the National League South equivalent of Southend in the division above. They're sat one place outside the playoffs, and if they get into them, woe betide anybody who draws them because they're very, very hard to beat. So yeah, that's it. But I mean, Horsham, they've dropped off a little bit of late. They'll feel they can still be up for the fight, and having mentioned Southend, but you're going to come on to the FA Trophy, so I'll leave that. But yeah, I mean, and let's doff our caps to Chesham United, sat in 10th place. That is outstanding, really, isn't it? For a little club that is just finding its feet at this level.
Right. Rob, I know you do have to go. Are you going now before we move on to the FA Trophy?
Yes, please, if I can. It's not because Aldershot are already out of the competition where the trophy sits in their cabinet. It's because it's 25-1 here in the morning, and I got an early start. But lovely to see you all. Great to join you. Leave you to it.
Before you go, Rob, where can everybody find you on the socials?
At RobShot66 on Twitter or at NL Fulltime. And I'm sure Christian will give you a taster or a teaser for our pod that's just out this weekend when you say goodbye to him at the end.
Take care and have a lovely holiday.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Bye, Rob.
Right. So, we look like a pop band.
Oh, God.
I've got up a spot on the beards as well.
I know. He's got the best beard now. I think he's probably gone now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The title now.
So, FA Trophy. Christian, I will come to you first. Any on here you want to speak about?
Local to me, quite surprised, but in a day where it was all away wins. Horsham winning at Glanford Park. Big shock. I thought Scunthorpe would sense an opportunity, a competition they've obviously not played in very often. And given they were trying to stay in this division in their only previous National League season, I thought they'd be really targeting it. They did, I believe, and I'm just double checking, they did go ahead in this game through Deck Howe after just 11 minutes, but they were 2-1 down after 32, and that's how it stayed. So a bit of a scalp for Horsham, who have made a couple of inroads in the FA Cup in recent years, showing it in the FA Trophy now. I remember I actually watched a Horsham game where they drew 3-3 at Barnsley in the away end, and they were fantastic fun. They've come up a division or two since then, and they've beaten the next championship team at the end of the day at Glanford Park. I watched Scunthorpe in the previous round swat aside Clitheroe, and I expected a similar 4-1 result here, and it didn't come. So, and with one of the other results as well, which I'll leave to someone else, I think there's one very clear favourite now because they're the only team from that top group of National League sides, obviously Southend, to probably go on and look to win it now, and that's because the other two fell away both at home.
Morgan, I'll come to you.
Just to add on the Scunthorpe thing, I saw a few quotes that the manager came out and said that the players didn't care, really, and they weren't really too bothered, which I know it's the cup, and I know you don't really want to prioritise it, but I think it's not great for managers throwing the players under the bus after a cup loss. Even if you're saying that behind the scenes in the dressing room, say you should be playing better. I haven't seen the quotes myself, I just saw someone kind of, a Scunthorpe fan saying this is what the manager said, but that really shouldn't be aired in public. Andy Butler's doing a great job, but someone who says
we laughed at.
But yeah, even if Andy Butler does think the players weren't trying hard enough, you really shouldn't be airing that in public. I don't think you're trying to get promoted. You're having a really good season. Even if there are thoughts about how some of the fringe players have played, you should probably keep that under wraps and deal with it behind the scenes. But they're out of it, and I think that's probably a good thing because I think the teams that are going to win this, I think it's Yeovil or Woking to win it. They're both pretty good. I said it to Callum Hallett on Twitter. If you don't follow him, go do it. Great content from Callum.
Very good.
But Woking and Yeovil, they're better than all the teams in the bottom half. They're not good enough to get in the playoffs, and the teams that are in the playoffs don't really care about this competition. I think it's Woking or Yeovil should be winning it, and obviously they both won away against teams in lower divisions.
Don't know, my heart's for Marine because of Bobby Grant. Honestly.
How much would you that? I don't say that as a bitter Boston fan that lost there on penalties 2 rounds before. But obviously Shah suffered the same fate with Rochdale. So I think if you've got 3 home ties in this competition and they all go to penalties, you can't feel too hard for yourself. Really, really good day for the Step 2 sides. Pleased for Marine. I think they're in a similar position that Morgan describes Woking and Yeovil in, but a league beneath. And I know we're jumping ahead, but the draw today has put all the National League sides away. So we may see that we get another round of away games, but it has actually inadvertently rewarded all of those lower level teams that have got through with a big home game. I think quarterfinals, you start to smell Wembley, really, don't you? Especially if you're Wealdstone and you're just round the corner. And I haven't seen what Team Forest Green put out, but that was quite a surprise for me as well. I rather assumed there might have been either a selection or an attitude issue with Forest Green losing 3-0 to an inconsistent Wealdstone.
Definitely that. Honestly, I don't know what's going on. I don't want to say too much because obviously we play them really, really soon. But with Forest Green at the minute, I really don't know what's going on at all. Like, it's just mental because everybody was so invested in the Robbie Savage football. And obviously they started very well and the type of football they were playing. And now they just seem to have tailed off, don't they, in the league? And then obviously this result in the cup. So I don't really know what's going on at the moment with Forest Green. But Jen, I will come to you. Any on here you want to talk about?
I was going to mention the Forest Green Wealdstone game just because I was just scrolling on Twitter, as you do, and I clicked on and saw the Forest Green and Wealdstone one. And I was like, right, okay. We were meant to play Wealdstone on Saturday, obviously, but got postponed. But it was one of them results where I was a bit like, whoa, okay, this, I know it's a cup, but Forest Green are a team that are fighting to get back into the EFL and they're losing to Wealdstone. It was a bit of a shock. And then I clicked on the comments and you just don't think you should click on the comments, and there's people literally saying that Savage should be out of a job. Why has he not been sacked yet? And I'm like, do you want to swap positions? Like, I'll take where you are in the table right now, and you can have where we are. And it's just like, I feel sometimes fans can be so fickle.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's done such a good job. Whatever's happening at the minute is happening, but you're still in the playoffs at the minute. I just feel like sometimes fans just need to chill out.
He wrote them off 6 weeks ago, didn't he? Savage. He came out and said that they didn't have what it was going to take to challenge for the title. I think that was maybe premature, but the form since has shown that he was right. Strange thing for the manager to say. If he'd have been a pundit saying that about Forest Green, I'd have said fair play. I don't get it when you're the manager. But in Butler, at Scunthorpe and Savage, 2 inexperienced managers, particularly at this level. Savage is obviously a name, but he's not been in this division, and maybe it's a case of people have started working him out. I've not seen the best of Forest Green this year. We played them the once. It was a 0-0 draw. I didn't see them at their best early on in the season, and we haven't been there yet. But I do just wonder. I'm surprised Scunthorpe have stayed the course, and Forest Green maybe looking like that one team that might even slip out or suddenly be worrying about what's over their shoulder. And obviously not got the trophy now either.
This comment as well from Joe, to be fair, is put, if I look at York City, I could name their 1 to 11 within reason. At Forest Green, I will be putting names into a hat and picking an 11. Balance and continuity is key.
They don't help themselves on social media either, because every week they seem to put out that graphic with all the stats from the game, and it's like, lads, you've just been beaten 3-0 at Wealdstone. They put out this graphic on yesterday, and it's like, oh, we had 16 chances to their 11, and we had 7 on target to their 5 and all this. I'm like, you've just lost 3-0. I don't think anyone wants to see that. As a fan, your head would be on Mars if you saw that. Like, Jen, imagine if, like, under Ash, you get smacked 3-0 and the first thing that Liam posts on the Sunday is, here's the stats now well we played. You'd all be
No,
fuming.
honestly. It was after the Kidderminster game where we got battered 6-2. He refused to put anything out for that day. He literally just put the highlights out and that was it. It's
because
it's
as a
one
fan,
of them.
fuming.
Yeah.
And they just don't seem to, I don't know, they don't seem to have an identity except we've got a load of money and we're going to put some big names because everyone knows who their owner is because he's the vegan one that can't stay away from the TV. And everyone knows who Robbie Savage is because he was at Man United. Like, there just seems to be more publicity. Like, the kits are about leopard print rather than winning football games. They're a weird little football club.
Yeah,
It
we've
is
got
a
them last
shame.
game of the season, so it could be fun, and I think we're going, so that could be fun for a 12:30 kickoff, 3 hours away, but, you know.
It is a shame as well for Forest Green because I know from Boston, having played them 25 years ago, there was a proud club there. They wore black and white stripes. They played at the Lawn. You know, they were a little side that did well to be in that division, but it isn't one of these clubs, and we could name others that have been inflated through the divisions. They were a conference team before this came in, and I do feel all of that identity has been stripped away. And I'd love to know. Obviously, it's a long time now, but I'd love to know how many season ticket holders from 25 years ago that used to go and watch the old Forest Green still watch or even just follow the results now. It feels as though that club has been taken over by a project, and we can debate the moral and the ethical good that does. It just troubles me that there was a club and identity there, and it's completely gone. I think we're now in a situation where if you're not as interested in football history or looking back 20 or so years, there'll probably be a lot of fans that didn't know Forest Green, you know, been to FA Trophy finals and did used to wear the black and white and did have a history before that. Strange. It's one of those, isn't it? They've been up to League One. They're going to do well to get back there. Consistently inconsistent. I don't think we've said that about a lot of teams in the National League tonight. You wouldn't want them in the playoffs. I don't think you two will be bold enough to say it and risk it biting you later on. But I think if you got in the playoffs and got Forest Green, you'd be quietly confident.
I'd just be bored. Like, I don't think I've enjoyed a Forest Green game. They just don't seem to play nice football. Like, sure, I don't know if you've seen it, but
I've not seen anything. We have them next Wednesday, Mark.
Oh, fair enough. But Christian, you said it. You'd seen a 0-0 draw. I saw a 1-1 draw at home last season. They don't seem to do anything. And then you look up and they're 6th or 5th or however they're doing at the moment. They're in the playoffs, but I don't really understand how they get there. Like, consistently inconsistent, bang on. Like, I just don't understand it. They're one of the teams I'd quite like in the playoffs. I probably shouldn't say it this early because that will come back to bite me and someone's going to clip this up. But
that'll be me.
Go on then, Shah. But I don't know. Like, I'd almost take it. I feel like Savage, like, the zone would be there, and I feel like he'd lean into it far too much rather than like Stuart Maynard. And I think you'd say the same about Jim McNulty. You'd look at that game and like, let's be as professional as we can and get this out of the way and focus on whoever, like, just win this game. I don't think Savage would look at it like that. It'd be like, oh, we're going back to the Football League, and they'd be 3 steps ahead before he's won that game. I'd quite like them in the playoffs, to be honest, if we don't walk it.
Imagine if it's Carlisle and Forest Green, everyone will hype that up because obviously Mark Hughes and then Robbie Savage.
Imagine
trust Carlisle.
Ignore
it. You trust Carlisle for the management, definitely. Probably the squad, and presumably it would be at Carlisle. I just think I agree. That's what I was teeing up. I didn't think you'd be bold enough to say it as a team actually involved more than but I agree. We don't know who's going to be 7th, but clearly it's going to be the other 6. Forest Green for me are the team you'd want, 100%.
I'm saying nothing. We beat them 1-0 at their place. It was Kyron Gordon that actually scored. So not a massive, like, obviously, not a massive goal in gear line, but yeah, we'll see on Wednesday.
Just looking, they've got Woking next, and then they've got York, Rochdale, Carlisle, Forest Green, Carlisle, Bournemouth. Sorry, 3 of those away from home. So they're going to have to sort it out pretty quickly, or they are going to be starting to worry about Halifax and Southend.
Would be funny if they missed it, though, wouldn't it? I think, like, if we played 46 games and Forest Green were 8th, it would be quite funny, wouldn't it?
It tends to be one that drops out and one that gets in. That's what would worry me for them. I thought it might be Scunthorpe. I think they're going to do enough. This might help, as we've said. I wonder about Forest Green, which direction they're heading. I just think Savage is an amplifier. It's something I said on the radio about Graham Coughlin this week. When things were going well, Graham and the way he carried the media and himself made things 10 times better. But then when it's going badly, it's almost like he took the water in a little bit. And I think Savage goes the same way. I think if momentum goes right for him, it's fine. It's can he now turn it around when people have started to work him out and form's gone a little bit? We shall see.
Ben, any on here?
I think I'll go for Kidderminster Harriers winning on penalties against Halifax. It's I don't think we should underestimate significance of the result, given the fact that the similar size of the two clubs, but obviously still a division between them. But Kidderminster have had a very up and down season, where it seemed to be going nowhere at one point. But to go to a side like Halifax who are chasing the playoffs, and again, I'm guessing Halifax probably would have arrested a few ahead of it, because I think we've already established that a lot of the teams in the top 7 of the National League, they are prioritising promotion or getting into the playoffs because of the implications of financially of going up. But for Kidderminster Harriers, it's a terrific result away from them. And I think we've sort of alluded to with the draw the fact that sort of we could have potentially 2 National League North and 3 National League North and 1 National League South team in the last 4, which would be a great achievement, for Step 2 clubs. Personally, I'd love to see a Horsham Marine final. Personally, I think given the size of the 2 clubs, and the fact this is quite a historical few years for them. Whereas Marine, there's only their second year at this level. Horsham are still in their first, and if they both got to Wembley, the journeys that both those clubs have been on, going in different directions. I think it'd be a fantastic achievement. But yeah, Kidderminster, it's a great result for them.
Woking on for a record as well. They won 3 FA trophies in 4 in the 1990s. I believe 3 is still the record for any club. So they're 2 wins away from a first team to win 4. Clearly one of the 4 National League sides in there. And through a tricky tie with Walton and Hersham, I think there was a bit of social media nonsense in all of that as well. Did well to get through, and they've got an away tie again in the next round, as we've said all the National League teams do.
I'm just going to quickly go into the chat because we do have a couple of comments. We do have Matt in here, obviously, about Marine. He has put such a great result for Marine, especially given what is a terrible injury situation. There's so much positivity around the club right now. Bring on Woking at the end of the month. And he's also mentioned as well, such huge positivity around Marine at the moment, despite a terrible injury situation. Bobby Grant is working wonders there. Everyone knows how much I love Bobby Grant. He was one of my favourite players at Dale. That was actually when we had John Coleman in charge as well. So that was a while ago, a good while ago. And Joe has mentioned, I feel that there is something romantic about Wilston going all the way. They have seen so many teams come through their doors to Wembley, and it is on their doorstep. Now it's their time to shine.
They've got history as well, Wilston.
Yes.
I know because they beat Boston the only time we've been there 40 years ago, and then they had all that trouble with the ground. So I would add to that a bit of history with what Joe says as well. They've been there, and then they lost the ground, and things went wrong for 20 years, and they've built back, and they feel they need a moment. Maybe the ceiling for them is probably the National League. I think being realistic, the way club sits at the minute. So, why not FA Trophy? They're not going to come past much more difficult teams than Forest Green, to be fair to them.
Has anybody else got anything they want to add on these games before I mention some of the fixtures for the next round?
Are we not doing National League Cup?
I forgot about that,
We didn't fancy a Truro.
You can do National League Cup if you want, Christian.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, well, we lost to West Ham. We don't have to go to Truro again. I think we can leave it at that. Tamworth is still there, Bournemouth as well, and someone else. That's how important it is. Oh, Truro, sorry. Truro, Bournemouth, and Tamworth, and West Ham. There you go.
I completely forgot about the National League Cup.
We had a very cold Tuesday night last week at home in the National League Cup. That's why it's on my mind.
Anybody else got anything to add on these games?
No.
So the round was done today. The draw was done, for the next round. So we do have Southport versus Yeovil Town. Then we have Marine versus Woking, Kidderminster Harriers versus Wealdstone, and Horsham versus Southend.
That Kidderminster game's the one for me. That's the
Yes.
one that I would suspect is most in the balance.
That was my thoughts too. My thoughts. Everybody else, what's your predictions? Do we see the National League teams going through, apart from that one we're a little bit unsure, or do we think there could be potentially some upsets? I mean, I'm all for anything happening. You know what happened with Spennymoor and Rochdale last season. I'm still not over that.
I think Horsham being at home for their game is huge for them, in terms of the fact that, I think, as Christian alluded to earlier, they're a very good cup team. FA Cup, they've beaten National League sides on their own turf before. They've beaten Woking, they've beaten Dorking on a couple of occasions. So it's not exactly going into the unknown for them. I mean, Southend provide a completely different test for them, but again, I don't think Southend will be very familiar to the surroundings. But I guess they got a little bit of a taste of it at Chatham on Saturday. Again, sort of a full crowd. It's a similar sort of ground. But I back Caution to win that game, to be honest. I mean, Southend, by the time that game comes around, you might start to think about, do they start resting a few players because they are getting towards the playoffs they're in? But as we've already said, look, you're so close to Wembley now. You know, you're getting into that stage where you're just 2 wins away from a great day. And then Southend know what a great day it is. I know it didn't go well to plan for them last season in the playoffs, but they'd still love a trip to go to Wembley and win it and win the trophy. But for Horsham, I back them to win it. To be honest, I think they'll be quietly confident they can get through to the semis.
I've just literally gone on my Twitter. It's got nothing to do with this. Junior Hoylett has gone to Swindon. Like, what? Being in the Premier League. How random.
The Rome's finest, he was.
I know. Honestly, I just thought I had to tell you, because I've not seen any of this transfer deadline day. But yeah, that's the first thing that popped up. Sorry about that, everyone. Just completely took me by surprise. But Joe has put Yeovil Wealdstone final for me. That is what I want. Some amazing people at Wealdstone. And I have some good friends at Yeovil, and being a local, be a proper bumper crowd too. And we do have Blades Ramble in the chat as well. Hello, hope you are okay. Anything anybody else wants to add on the FA Trophy? No, I know we have been on a while. It must be me. I must talk too much. Honestly, I'm back and we've been on for hours. I do apologise, everyone. It's because I have no life. So you have to all come in. I've just took you all in with me. But what a fantastic show. I mean, we didn't actually have that many fixtures really to cover from each league, but we had a lot to talk about. And then obviously we did have the cup as well. So I'm not fully blaming me, by the way. There was a lot to cover. But what a great show it was. Thank you to each and every person in the chat. And of course, the amazing team I have here. Jen, where can everybody find you and your football content on the socials?
So it's Jen Hunt _ on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me on there.
I feel like you're playing referee as well between me and Morgan.
I know, yeah, I am. I definitely am. For now.
To be fair, Morgan, we did it. We got a bit sassy. I had that little dig at the beginning, but we've made it this far, haven't we?
Yeah, there's definitely worse people I can talk to football about for 3 hours or 2.5 hours.
I've never had a compliment like that before. Thanks, Morgan. Where can everybody find you and your fantastic work as well that you do?
On Twitter at _Morgan_Bruce, and in York Press for the weekly York City match previews.
Love that. And wow, I've noticed as well, Sam Waller, in a Super Sam Waller I loved, the goalkeeper, has gone to Harrogate on a permanent.
Oh.
I'm fuming. I was hoping we got him. Kept Ollie Watmuth, because Ollie Watmuth isn't going to come back to Rochdale next season. Obviously, he's from Manchester City. But we managed to somehow pull off signing Sam Waller so we could have him next season. But of course, I woke up. It was all just a dream. And then he signed for Harrogate. Ben, where can everybody find you on the socials?
If you want to find me, it's Ben Stones FC1 on Twitter. Short and sweet for you.
Love it. And of course, Christian, representing NL Full-Time. Where can we find, obviously, you on the socials and the podcast as well?
Yeah, so myself at Boston UTD Stats on Twitter. Not got another commentary for a little while, actually. So if you do listening to those, you'll have to wait until March. Non-league full-time, we published, I think it was this morning, if not last night. If you want more of a roundup of the weekend's action, we did speak to Yeovil Town manager Billy Rowley after he beat Dickie's Telford as well. So it was myself and Dickie, and Joe did another very good job hosting. Rob was too important for us yesterday and decided to join today. So there you go. I know he's still listening, so we can have that one for free. But yeah, Joe did a very good job hosting again. His head will be too big to fit through the door if we're not careful. But he was excellent. So please do give it a listen. Yeah, and great to join you all again with a Boston win for a change.
I know, and I'm hoping you keep them wins up, apart from when you play us. Like
Just
I said,
month,
they're my
fine.
second team.
Next month, that's fine. We can change for March. That's not a problem.
And of course, if anybody does want to find me, I am SharXRAFC. That is on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I do have my own YouTube channel as well. I don't know why. I just thought, you know what? I've got enough things going on as it is. Why not just challenge myself, do something else? So I thought I'll do my own channel. At least I can be a little bit more controversial on there. And if I get anyone cancelled on there, it's only myself. That's like the unfiltered version of this podcast, isn't it, Jen and Ben? We said that, didn't we, when we were on together?
Yeah.
I think you've been quite contained so far in it, to be honest. I think you've done well with it.
I have actually. It's because Dale are winning. You wait until Tuesday for them would beat us, and it might all change. But on YouTube, it is Ball and All with Shah, and it's Ball and All _ on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and of course the main ones. Yes, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. On Twitter, we are Absolute Ball Pod. YouTube and Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast. TikTok, we are Absolute Football Pod. Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky, Absolute Football. And Facebook, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. And you can catch us 4 times a week. So on a Monday, of course, in collaboration with NL Full-Time, we are absolutely non-league, and we do cover National League North, National League South. Sam is a very, very happy man. Manchester United got yet another win under Michael Carrick. He is hosting tomorrow on the Absolutely Premier League show. So go in, speak to him. He's absolutely buzzing, but he will be covering all things Premier League on Tuesday. So definitely check that one out. Freya and Team Chaos, they cover all things women's football from the WSL to WSL2. And just all things football, because they're just so knowledgeable when it comes to football, just across the whole worldwide women's football. That show goes on for hours. If you think this one goes on for hours, that could go on till past midnight. But they are honestly just books of knowledge, those people. So definitely go and check them out. And of course, I am back with the Rowdy Rabble. I mean, it's been a while. I don't know how I'm going to contain all those people from the Rowdy Rabble because I'm a little bit rusty, but of course we do cover all things EFL, Championship, League One, League Two. There'll be plenty to talk about as well with deadline day. A lot of transfers going on. I'll mention the Junior Hoylett one again, probably on Thursday, but yes, lots to talk about. All of those shows are on at 8:30, and you can become a member. You get special perks like emojis for the chat, special episodes with the rest of the team, and of course, all content going out. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification. We have interview episodes. We have club episodes. I know Sam has some people in the pipeline as well to do club episodes. So that's very, very exciting. And sometime this year, we will be doing season 2 of Women in Football, because that was a very, very fantastic episode, wasn't it? Very good episode. But of course, that is us for now. It's been a very, very late one, but I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the week, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.